meeting about why, not about the why, about why.
That makes sense.
And remind me to ask you as it's not a correction or amendment to the minute. It deals with the last line that talks about Shackford will establish budget related document to keep track of comment. Did I not see that? Did not do
Right there, yeah.
you sent me the listing? I did not. I'll have to go back and look. I don't remember seeing it, so that's on me. Sure, and then we'll get that. Anybody have any other comment?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Approved. Okay. On the list is the drawdown and detail. So when we're talking about the drawdown and detail by warrant articles, because our articles, we separated it out a couple of years ago, sections, what we're looking for probably forward is that budget is drawdown broken out, and it might just be something simple, broken out based on warrant articles, like section 4 was the section 5 was the DPW, is the services, that thing. And one of the things that I realized is that every time we all have to, there's a detailed report we used to get that we know that I think would be able, if we got this, or probably 9/10 of the drawdown percentage down, if anything's going over by things, we'll still have questions, but I think it might leave a lot of the question part go quicker.
Okay, I get you, Jess. So when you say the warrant article by number,
Let me see where
I'm just saying, because in the warrant article 4 lists like general government
Right.
article 5, DPW, however it works.
right.
But they're all kind of blend on our budget.
Yeah,
All the other ones, like 7 through 33, are
there.
their own line. These, they don't, short of giving you like the DPW police, but I mean, yeah, that
Emergency.
those, like 4, basically what
Right.
you get.
Right.
So even our 4 drawdown you get, but that's all in here. They just be
So that's why one of the things with looking at the changing, you and I was about changing the from highway-DPW to DPW highway, it would put those things all in one area. It comes out of the DPW budget, which would help.
and very back of, I think we talked about right in the warrant by like
Thing.
yeah, the go to the very pages there.
Right, but this is just the overall. This is the summary.
Right, but like if you go to the beginning of those yellow leaves, so that first money one, you want a drawdown of just those, and then you want a drawdown of that.
Article 5, Article 6. Because recognizing that when we passed when the town passed a motion or bill or whatever warrant article to state these, then they stay basically separate entities. So what I would like to do is see when I'm looking at this that, the 1.776742 that's attached to warrant article 4 in this instance, because it's not always 4, warrant Article 4, that's broken out, and I can see that in the drawdown. Like where we stand with respect to the 1776 on Article 4. Is that making sense?
I see what you're saying, but I think it would have to be its own separate
Report?
report, because you're not gonna get a total of, in this, even though you say DPW, you're still gonna get a line, you're gonna get a DPW highway line, a DPW solid waste line, or but police, you're gonna get a police line, a fire line, and
Right.
you're not gonna get them all with a total at the bottom of that to make up what the warrant article was voted for.
So what you're saying is there's no way to take,
Like make a subtotal in this.
The drawdown doesn't match the warrant articles.
right,
Just doesn't-
Well, it's in a different format.
It's a different.
The numbers, yeah, the numbers match.
Numbers
the
match, but
format's
they're
different.
not blocked off.
Right. I think I understand what you're saying, but I don't know as though it'll be all in one QuickBooks report to have a subtotal in it, because this is all bottom line, so the selectmen worry about that bottom line.
are you able to export this to an Excel spreadsheet?
Yes.
Because then you could insert a line that gave you, that summed up, she's like, oh,
Yes.
right? You could insert a line that took, I'm just gonna say, for instance, it's not in the right format, but it could take an admin DPW all the way down to, say, Conservation Commission, and it could give you a subtotal here for what all of these are. They're not the right ones, but if you're just inserting a line, if they're in the correct order, the issue is these are probably alphabetical, are they not?
Right.
So turning this into a report that works by article, remember we're looking at it by article. Trying to figure out everything that goes in article, it's 4 this year, it could be 2 next year.
Right, no, I
So,
understand.
I'm just trying to figure out what you would, instead of it saying, we talked about DPW-admin, which would keep all the W ones together. Is there a way then to put something in front of the other ones that arrange it by article? Putting like Art 4.
I think if there was an Excel spreadsheet that was created similar to what we already do, but in a different order that would just export into it, because otherwise, every week, I'd have to manipulate the Excel
No, it's
spreadsheet
not-
to make those subtotals.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
not my intention. So what I could do, can you send me this in an Excel spreadsheet?
that was pretty much what I
Oh. Well, I gotta go find that, because I don't remember seeing that.
I want to say I did it like the day after the last
Oh,
meeting,
yeah, that's probably.
I think.
Did you send it to anyone else?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Well, she'll usually send it to me and say, is this what you're looking for?
Okay.
And then I can go back and say, oh yeah, this is great, and send it out to somebody, or no, this is really can you add this or can you do this? So I'll go back, I'll look for that, and what we can do is we can take that as a file and add a tab to it, and you can pull the different sections into, and we can do it by article. Like tab number 2 would be article number 4, and I'll just pull all of the pieces that go into article 4 from here. You wouldn't even touch this, as long as it's in a spreadsheet, right? As long as this is in a spreadsheet.
I can export it to Excel, which is what I'm
Yeah.
most positive I sent you.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then you can manipulate it.
Right.
I can help you with that, like, we could do like a cover page, like, basically you can create like the pages, like the tabs that you want to be like the reports that you
Yeah.
want, and you just have like a data dump, and every time I refresh, like, do the data dump on top of the old one, everything will just refresh. So we could probably build what you're looking for, cause I
Yeah.
do that for work. And just like, whatever
Yeah.
that raw export is, I can pull data into all the other tabs, and it's like a,
Yeah, as long as you send it in an Excel spreadsheet, we
Yeah.
can pull the Excel spreadsheet and it'll data dump into you'll want to save it have the October version, and then create a new one for the November version, and that way you can take a look at them. Let's see. Okay, So we'll work on getting that done. That way I think it'll be easier as we're going through and looking at drawdowns, and we're looking at drawdown by article to see, like, are we having a significant issue within a specific article where the money is way underspent or way overspent. Small changes, I don't think is gonna bother anybody. I think it's gonna be anything that's large.
And I don't know, you said you got a different report that you're not getting now?
Right, the detail reports. I was looking at the copies of what we used to get. That when we got the drawdown, we also got a detail report. I gotta go back probably several months. And it's basically the same thing I think that you're looking at, that says what the different expenses were on the different lines. That's January, that's warrant articles. Oh, where did I put that? I've been going back and forth.
The detail report that we got for rec sometimes, that included like the memo line or something, that if it was like the Elon Financial Services, it said bunny costume for extravagance,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, that report.
I don't remember ever producing it for. I know what you're talking about, like, but I don't know as though we ever did it in one.
No, it was split out. You had it, it was different sections, like,
Oh, all right, right, that's the spreadsheet that,
that Ned did?
that,
No.
no, it didn't, no, because that didn't have detail. Those were just, the department heads get their detail one.
Yeah, it looked like the drawdown, but it just, a little bit like the drawdown. But it was like sideways and had like the memo line that would show you what was purchased.
Yeah,
And sometimes
Right,
had like an invoice number.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
I do, but I don't remember ever producing it for
budget summaries for here.
this. I know.
Maybe it was that you were producing it for the selectmen and I picked up a copy and kept it with the budget numbers. That's a drawdown budget figures. Anyway, I think that would be, oh, no, that's not it. I think that would be helpful, if it was something that got sent out, the way you do all the packet. That way we could go through it, if anybody has questions regarding what a certain expense was, or what a certain, why is this $5,000 more than it was last month? We could answer that ourselves without necessarily having to take up, and we could get these meetings done a little more quickly, right?
Right, so that's fine.
Okay, yes?
I don't know what kind of form. I'll look.
Well, maybe you just pull what just comes out of the system, send it to me and we can take a look at it and see. Well, actually, if you send it to me in Joy, because you guys get it anyway, as part of the select, the detail group, no?
I think so. Every once in a while, maybe, but not usually.
Yeah,
Right.
not usually.
Okay. But, if you guys said, I think it saves us some considerable amount of time as we're going through drawdowns.
We call it self-service.
Right. Okay. Speaking of the drawdown then, does anybody have any questions besides me? I'm in the DPW admin. I'm presuming so the phones last month from like 48.6% to 131%. Do we expect that that's going to continue? Yeah, they were 48.6% last month, and now they're 131. Is there a specific reason?
Yeah,
The timing of bills, or?
well, I'm not 100% sure, but I have a funny feeling that I went through part of it. I was looking through, making sure that things were in the right places, and I think we were posting things to the wrong. There's some of the stuff for the DPW was going into general government, should have been specific to them.
Okay.
And I can explain the reason for the overage on phone bills this year is last year, we had First Light, and they sent us a letter and said, hey, you can stick with us, and we're going to charge you being $37 a line per month. We're going to charge you $100 a line per month. So I got in touch with our IT guy, and I said, hey, what do we do about this? He said, no problem. He goes, we'll go to Consolidated. They have a great deal, blah, 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 blah. Well, this great deal was great until we
Starting all the
actually
fees.
got one. Right. Oh, yeah, but then once you get all those fees and everything, and I actually wrote a letter to the guy who sold us the whole package, and we're in a 3-year contract now. Oh, sorry, I didn't know.
I didn't know.
So when those numbers came for the everybody to do their budget, they weren't aware that it was going to be such an increase for this
Right.
year. So
Yeah.
a lot of that is not the department's head's fault as much as it is just
The
a
salesman?
miscommunication between the salesmen.
Consolidated,
and us. It was
not
consolidated.
disclosing all their fees.
Right.
Well, and they,
Yeah.
the salesman should have known.
Yeah, he should have
Yeah,
given
well,
you a
even-
total price.
Even
Yeah.
our IT guy chastised him. Because he felt a little foolish because he's the one who said, go with this, you're gonna get the same deal, blah, 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 and
Right.
it just wasn't. They're trying to cost you out of using landlines, basically.
That's what it is.
They
You
don't
know-
wanna maintain them anymore. And
No, they don't.
That's a question I think for the IT expert is, now that we have Fidium,
Right.
can we get Fidium VoIP, like business,
That's
government
their
set up?
intention, but unfortunately, we
Yeah.
signed a 3-year contract.
You signed Consolidated
Right.
a few more years.
So it's on the to do list once that comes around, or we've got it marked, ready to change
Ready to
something,
move,
so.
or at least compare at that.
At least compare
Right,
the prices.
and even now, I mean, Spectrum and Fidium, we don't get any deal on internet with Spectrum. Maybe we can get a better deal with Fidium. So,
Can always ask.
yeah, it's
Right.
no and yes.
Especially, they have promotions right now. They're trying to,
Right,
You
but
know,
in
pick up
2
business.
years, there might
Yeah, right.
be
in
a-
2 years, it'll be like everybody else.
Right.
It's like your
All the
cell phone.
fees and prices will go up every month.
So then this is rentals, that went from 58% to 105%. It's almost, it was 2,900 last month and 5,200 this month.
Isn't that
I-
isn't that the grader, the second time?
I don't know, is it?
And great,
That's
like
what I'm
$3
asking.
grand a week.
Why would that be
Yeah.
under admin
Yeah.
though?
Rental?
Rentals.
Under admin.
No, it doesn't look like there's any. There was trailer renter, a roller rental, a compactor rental, a Kubota tilt rental. And I don't have the old drawdown to see what the number difference was.
So the one from last month was 2,935. And then this month it's 5,255.
Looks like starting in
So it's about a
September.
$2,200 difference.
Well, there was a $1,500 trailer rental. They needed it says 12,000-pound trailer. They must have had to move a piece of equipment.
Yeah.
Moving
had a
a
piece
load or something, yeah, moving something
Is
big.
that in admin?
I don't know.
Does that include, that must include the unit they use to besides the roads?
I don't know, but there's
NB
nothing
trucker?
there, and it may be there because under highways, there is no rental. But I would put it under road
I know they
improvements
fit
if
a
that's what
unit
it's
from
for.
NB and they were trolling the side of the roads with it.
Yeah.
It has about this
Yeah, and I don't know if maybe that came out, I'm not sure where that got posted,
would
if
be
it's
within
road
this.
improvement or not.
window.
Right.
Okay.
That's just interesting to me that, I don't even know what an administrative rental would be, admin rentals.
Well, I think it just, that rentals line, land administration, because it could encompass all
Anything.
3 of those departments, whether it's highway, solid waste or Parks and Rec, I
True.
think is the reason. That's why supplies, there's only one supply line, and that covers all
All three.
three.
All three
Pieces.
sections, yeah.
Okay, and then the other thing was uniforms, it was over budget last month, but it gone up more over budget. Do we expect do they expect that that's just gonna continue? And that's the change in the contract
That
for
was
the
the price, the new price.
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't know we were in a contract until we tried to stop the contract, and then so next year that line would probably be adjusted, because obviously we went down to the minimum that we can for
Yeah, and I have a note from
That's
last
right,
month
you
that says
did the
this,
minimum,
minimum rental that we without breaking the contract,
right,
yeah.
this will likely go to 10K,
which is still less than what they 15
less than the
before.
15 that was
And they're the only game in town, I think, too, isn't it, as far as
Oh, no.
Since-
work uniforms and
yeah,
things,
I
yeah.
So
don't
we're
know.
75% through the fiscal year, right? Thereabouts.
I just typed it in my
You
other
figure
minutes, I don't know.
January to September is 9,
November, December,
This is up to 15, so it's still
a
what's
little
the,
over.
what's that percentage? Yeah.
It's a little
So
over.
Usually
seventy,
Linda has it
maybe
on there.
70, 80%.
Yeah,
79.1,
Yeah,
so
so-
80%.
Yeah,
80% of the year, and then so 80% of budget, give or take, depending on the line. I mean, I know some lines we spend until the end of the year, some lines we fully expend at the end of the year, so. But it just gives us an idea. Anything else on the first page, is anybody else? On the next page, 593.9% in supplies. That hasn't changed since last month,
Those
but
were the envelopes, right?
The new envelopes
the
for
election and
the,
stuff.
the absentee ballots or something, yeah.
Yeah, we had to order new envelopes, and they only do that at like every 10 years or something.
Right, and there was a change to the RSA that required,
Them to put something different on the envelope.
see, I wrote it
Has
down.
the state approved the new, or some of the new ballot counting yet? No. I saw it on the warrant article.
Right, and we, I
Yeah.
think that was good through, that money was secured through 2026
Six.
also.
Yeah, if I
So-
remember.
No, I'm just curious since
But
we're
no, they
on the
haven't.
elections.
But I'm kind of thankful that they didn't try and mess around with it right before.
This close to the
day.
election. That's what, that was kind of where I was going, yeah.
Okay, so under emergency managed maintenance, with, it went from $2,100 to $4,800.
That was generated.
I was gonna say,
The
Generator
service of the
services.
generator.
so are they all maintained? Have they been seen their
Yes.
maintenance, and
Yep.
do we,
They got their minor and their major, so
okay,
as far as I know,
shouldn't be any other large expenses to that?
not that I'm aware of, but
Okay.
that's the only line that I wrote, that I know particularly of,
Right,
but the other ones aren't very big anyway, so
Yeah.
there's not.
okay. I figured that was what it was, but I thought I'd ask. I have a question under executive mileage.
Yeah.
We went from 54, it's not a lot of money, 107, I'm just wondering what's that mileage for and who we're paying?
Mostly in Kate, if we have to drive to a meeting, like I went to Concord last week, week
Okay.
before, and that was $80 in mileage.
Change, yeah.
You know,
At the tolls.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I was gonna say.
yeah, no tolls, but.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
I'm thinking which way to
reimbursement
go,
for
yeah.
mileage, yeah.
You get out 93, yeah. Depending how far you go.
I went to the Health Trust,
Oh,
Public
right,
Oh, yeah.
which was very,
Well,
I was gonna say,
it's
yeah,
on
we're
the
gonna be talking
agenda.
about that. I'm curious how that went.
Okay, anything else on that page? Page number 3. Stipend 76%. I would expect, again, reimbursement of the members, that's not gonna happen until the end of the year,
To the
right?
end of the year.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, let's. Did I, oh no, it's on the next page. Down in general government buildings under town projects, there's a 12K difference from last month. It was 52, it was up, it went from 52 to 64,000. We're at 114%.
Well, that, at the last selectmen's meeting, they got a hold, we did 3 of those reimbursements from the trustee of trust funds, so that should bring that back in
We'll
line.
bring it back down.
But we missed we didn't have the October 1st meeting, so we bumped to the 15th, which meant we missed the trustees' October meeting, so we won't get that money until November. But that'll bring that very strongly back in line. I wanna say there's like $50,000 in between,
Trust money.
between the ball field expendable trust fund refund or reimbursement and the groundwater.
Remediation.
We'll bring
Sure.
that pretty back in line.
It shows that all those ETFs are, like 100% expended on, warrant article drawdown report.
Well, yes and no. It was spent because we gave it to the trustees. So they're holding the money, so it might not have been spent out of the account. This is the money that was voted on at town meeting. We wrote them a check. They did those, Kathy took those to the bank, funded it, each ETF with the money out of this drawdown. So it's not, there's no detail, it's just, the town meeting said to put $10,000 in the highway equipment, heavy equipment. We wrote a check to Kathy and she placed it into that account.
And then all of those ETFs and CRFs, I don't see the CRF.
Really the only CRF I think is the
Conservation.
Conservation Commission. And
So-
that's in the book, in the report, the town report.
I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but like the warrant article for 7, I apologize if you've already answered this 100 times. Like paving and road improvements. So we get the warrant article for 250, then that doesn't go into an ETF.
No,
So
but we've
how's
spent
that go?
it all. Well, that was the plan for the things that were gonna be done to roads this year. We paved Hill Road.
Yep.
We sealed East Madison Road. There was some other things, I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but
So how does that like get accounted for? Is that like general fund, but we track it to a warrant article? Like what happens with that like 250 allotment?
And what if they don't underspend it? What if they didn't need all 250, they only spent 200?
yeah, well, it has a 5-year, the way the article is written, that we have 5 years to spend that money.
Mhm.
So if we did it all, we could spend it for the next 5 years.
Right, but we're gonna look at it and we don't have if we don't have a report of what's still in there, what we've spent and what's still in there, how do we know, we're gonna need more road improvements because we had another storm and stuff
Yeah,
washed
what's gonna
out?
roll over to next year,
But
whatever.
like a storm thing wouldn't necessarily come out of this. This is more like the paving and things that is on the plan
list,
for.
the work
for-
list.
The annual.
Right,
The
road
road
improvement
CIP
work. Yeah.
kind of
that road,
Yeah, kind of idea, so this year particular, it was Mooney Hill Road that needed,
It was on the schedule to be paved.
right, that, and then taking care of sealing what we did last year.
Right, but
Um,
again, if
Yeah. it would
generally
be-
things
it
aren't,
would-
costs aren't gonna come down, I recognize that, but how does anybody have visibility then
Well,
of?
the report would, you'd have to generate a report of what was spent out of that particular warrant article. Because when you pay a bill in QuickBooks, okay, it comes in, it says we owe Coleman, $150,000. When I choose the line to pay it out of, it gets paid out of warrant article number 7 right here, that, so
Right.
short of a detailed report
Which,
of that particular one.
again, I think we had talked about having the detailed report for the warrant articles, the detailed report for it says 4 through 19 and the 29 through 33. And I know that
Well, yeah, and so 4 through 19, or 4 through
4 through 5,
7 or whatever it was in the drawdown
And
amount,
the drawdown,
called
that's
out,
the cost, those are the warrant
4 through
articles,
6
so
or
run
whatever
that.
it was, right,
Right.
drawdown. And these would just require, the report that's been, that I look short of just asking to print, send out Article 7. That might be a way to do it, I just haven't had a request to pull something like that.
So taking on like warrant article 7, so that 250, like, does that, because it doesn't go into an ETF,
Where's the money?
It just,
In the general fund,
oh, it's over.
Okay,
right, because the town voted
Yeah.
those warrant articles, so we'll collect
put
that
it
in
in the general.
taxes and it goes in the general fund, so this is where you can pay those out of. That's where all this money comes out of, all those warrant articles are out of the general fund.
But not the ETFs.
Well, the ETF money comes out of the general fund, but it gets put into
Goes
the
into-
trustees'
Okay.
accounts.
Why is the 7 and 9 and like in the ballot count?
You're ahead, you're
Okay.
ahead of us, because the ETF revolving fund balances and details and revenue and all that kind of stuff is in the next ones.
But this isn't ETF, that's why I'm asking about it. These are very specifically not ETF.
I understand, let's get finished with the drawdown
Alright.
first.
I gotta stretch from my back is killing me.
So we're back on page,
I'm not going anywhere, I just,
page 4.
I'm getting old, my back is sore.
The technology equipment under general government went down from last month. That part of that whole,
When I rearranged a few things that shouldn't really come out of that line. And maybe did services go up?
yeah.
That's
went up
probably why, because I think
They're not equal though.
I
One went up
rearranged
like
them.
$2,000 and one came down, the one that came down like 200.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I know that I did go through and reorganize things where they're supposed to be. 'Cause
Okay. Yeah, one went from 2,300 to 2,094 and the other one went from 2,300 to 4,500.
Linda, whatever happened to the firm invoice? From
That
Monmouth
was,
Hill?
that was one of my
Okay.
upcoming questions for
Yeah,
DPW
yeah.
too.
When we get to DPW,
Yeah, the,
On DPW?
I have that
federal
list
government
too.
equipment
Got
that
it.
she's
Yeah,
looking at
almost there,
services for,
yeah,
almost there.
Okay.
yeah, that was,
I'm
that's on my,
totally
No,
with your agenda,
Yeah.
sorry.
you're jumping
That's
ahead on
all
this
right.
here. That's on my list too, so.
Okay, so the technology equipment line,
Yes,
that's just pretty much all the copy machines in town.
okay.
That's what that is. And then the technology line includes all of our internet costs, our crash plan, our backups and things like that.
Mhm.
Let's see. Website design. All right, I see. Well, we got a bill from Northledge Technology, our IT guys, that encompassed from February to present. And
Oh.
that's why the big hit, because there was $1,600 right there in that invoice.
And they hadn't
Wasn't
been
it?
voicing us for that?
No, they do it once a
Once a quarter or something.
Yeah, they
Every-
have.
Yeah, okay.
Biannually or something.
But that's why there was,
That says
we had
February, yeah.
town hall computer issues, fire department issues, and then a little bit of phone system components that they needed that didn't include that brain that
Yep.
we had done.
That's $1,600.
Yeah, which
Mhm.
came out of a different line.
Okay, now we'll move into DPW. So I have a couple questions. One is, under support software computer, it says 0. Is that where iWorks is supposed to be?
But that has always been, in the past, we bought a computer program that would diagnose, like in one of those things you plug in,
Yeah.
it says, but it's not something that we found is cost effective for us, because even if we find out what's wrong with it, most of those trucks end up going to the,
And they do it
The
again.
Hilton.
and
You have
do
to
it
send it
again
to the
anyway.
dealer anyway, right?
so
Down to
it
CAD or
didn't
something.
Then
make much sense for us.
Where does
to-
iWorks, the DPW's portion of iWorks go?
I believe that came out of contract.
Says, I think.
I believe, hold on. Yes, it did, came out of contract services.
Okay,
Okay, and that's 150%. That's 10,000 over budget.
Let's see. Well, there is hauling the the grader, the loader,
Oh,
must have been taking it to,
had to bring it to Milton for the transmission.
that would make
We
sense.
had to haul it down and back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the grader rental was in contract services.
Wouldn't that be in rentals? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's $3,000 a week to rent from Burke for the grader.
I get that, I understand.
Yeah. Well, it's, the whole thing, it's a tool for the department heads to use, and if they, you know what I mean, because ultimately they're responsible for that bottom line, that they, so like I say, these lines are all tools, and maybe at the end of the year, when the department heads look at their stuff, realize that maybe
That needs to
not
be
the best place, and we can always, we can
Right.
move them around and once in a while a department head will come to me and they'll say, hey, I think this might be better suited out of this line,
Right.
and it's easy enough to
If
switch.
it came with a driver, I think I would put it under contract services, but just the machine, I think. But regardless, as long as we know what it is, I think. And then we purchased an undercoater. Do we know where that went? What that line that came out of?
No, well, we really didn't purchase we just,
The machine.
there wasn't, because I know they talked about it. So it was the sprayer kind of idea itself was not expensive. The thing that was expensive was the oil that you buy to undercoat the trucks
Yeah,
with. And I guess
the
that was,
wax oil,
Yeah.
whatever brand it is.
that
one of
was
the guys
like
was telling me
I
about.
want to say it was like $1,000 for the drum of oil that should be able to take care of all of our vehicles.
Well,
And
they had
that's
to
the
buy the
intention.
kit too, I think that, to
Right,
actually
and-
apply the coat. I think the total cost was about $2,100.
Right.
That's my understanding.
Oh, I guess
I was curious what line item that came out of.
Or did it get split among a couple lines?
Under parts, because we overshot on parts.
Yeah, we're 119% on parts. We're $6,000 over, which was going to be nice.
I don't see it
Vehicle
called
repairs.
out.
Or tools? Is it,
Vehicle
wow.
repairs at 90%.
But it's up $4,000.
Would that be
from last
considered
year.
a tool, mechanic tools, under that line item?
It's not in the-
Since it's
I
like
don't know,
a,
just gonna
And
look
I don't
to
know,
see.
Yeah.
it might not be something that we paid yet.
I was
or
going to say,
maybe we haven't paid it,
I
okay.
don't know.
No, just curious where it.
Actually,
showed
no,
up.
I know we haven't paid for the oil itself because they overcharged us for it and they adjusted the bill, so I know we haven't paid it yet, so it'll probably be paid in the beginning of November then. Cause they only bill us once a month, the guys go, with their slips 15 times during the month, and then we get a statement at the month that we pay the following month.
What warrants or like the purchasing policy, so the drum is say 1,000, and that has to come through approval?
According to the purchasing policy, anything over $1,000 is supposed to, but there are things that, how am I saying it? If it's not,
Like standing purchases?
well, right, like, so, when we get a salt purchase for, $8,000, just throwing a number out there. It won't be anything that usually comes through as a purchase requisition, because every year we have to buy salt, and every year the selectmen are aware that there's a big chunk, and that's something that gets funded that way. When it's something, I guess, a little
a
different,
one-off that's unusual or different. or-
then, like me wanting to buy the brain for the phone system, that's not something that,
You were expecting
you were,
to do it.
yeah, it was, it was a little different. I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of it, kind of thing, and so I don't wanna say it is a policy, but it's kind of there's some things in there that you realize it's day-to-day business stuff, and they don't get.
Yeah, but this year we bought the new zero-turn mower for $4,600.
Right. That came
Now
with
this,
purchase
coating
purchase
spray
price.
machine,
Yeah.
how does that get approved? It gets written up and submitted, does it go to the selectmen
Yeah,
for
purchase
approval?
requisition does.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, I'm just curious, I don't understand the process. is what I'm asking.
And that purchase requisition indicate what line this is coming
Yeah,
from,
it
correct?
does.
Okay.
And if that line is already overdrawn, what's the,
Like I say,
Madam Selectman, what's the discussion among the selectmen when a line is already overdrawn as to, is there a discussion about this like in some instances, like with a grader, we kind of have no choice. But other instances with something, it may be something that you can wait and put in the budget for next year. So what does that discussion look like?
Do all the recs even have that, what, like that dollar amount of this is what's left
There
in
is
the
a
budget?
line on the purchase requisition that does say what's left in the, that budget line.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought there was some that didn't.
But going back to the bottom line again, the select, traditionally, the selectmen know that the head is watching their budget, and they know the bottom line is the ultimate, and all these little lines in between are all tools to make sure they don't go to that bottom line and keep track of things. So if the selectmen had a question about it, when they sign it would be the perfect opportunity for them
To ask.
to say.
Yeah, like
you
I
know,
say, hey, this is from the line that's already
Oh.
overdrawn. Where are you not
Yeah.
spending money?
Or are you
You're
spending the
offsetting.
line?
Yeah.
Which I think that
the
did
whole
happen on
idea
the
is-
zero, I think that did happen on the zero turn.
Right, because
Yeah, we did talk about what line is it coming from,
Yeah.
knowing that was going to be overspending.
Yeah,
That
and there is a
conversation did
section on the purchase requisition where the line is written.
happen. That's the exact conversation that she's at, that you're asking about, Sharon, happened for that zero turn.
I think that the big question, I think we'll go back to the point that Joy brought up, $90,000 Burnham bill for the road repairs.
97,000.
Seven,
Well, no, it wasn't,
But
it
it
was
turned out
97.
to be 89, I guess.
89,000 something,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah, and
Has
the way
that
that
been paid now,
it
or-
has.
Okay.
The way that the selectmen left it was that the DW director would make sure that everything on the bill was done to what it said it was done, and it was done, so they paid it.
What line did the additional 40,000 come out of? Because originally the price was what, 44K or something?
I didn't realize it had been paid.
Then we paid another 45 above that, so we paid the 89. Where'd the additional 45K come from?
That came out of that bridge.
The bridge fund.
grant.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. Yeah,
The
right,
bridge
that's
grant.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the way we left it was that, we had asked if the DPW would review it, but we didn't vote to pay it or where the money was gonna come from. We just asked if it had been reviewed and would they review it and get back to us.
See, I remember it differently. I thought that it was, I would have to check back at the minutes, but the way I understood it was that if the DPW director said that everything on that thing had been done, then it was good to go.
I had different understanding.
How did it get from 37?
No, how did it double in price?
Well,
Yeah.
there was more damage done to it from when
Mhm.
it was originally priced out for us for the T number. That was one thing.
Right.
Yeah, I know that I'm not the one to know.
Yeah, no, we're asking questions of the wrong person, I think. I guess that I would have been more comfortable from a budgetary standpoint if there had been a discussion with the selectmen as to a couple things. One was why specifically, because the invoices, I guess, don't have a whole lot of detail.
There was quite a bit on that one. There was a whole paragraph.
I might have it. I just shoved stuff in my bag.
And then the other question was on the back side of one of them, it talked about the culvert stuff, but it wasn't clear whether that was from it had a different invoice number on it. Whether that was an invoice that there was enough culvert on previously and that was paid, or whether they were returning culvert and we were getting a credit.
Well, I know, it was kind of an odd invoice. So there was a $97,000, on that back page, there was a $97,000 estimate, which was for the purposes of FEMA to be able to say, if we had replaced this, FEMA requires replace it the way it is or something to that.
Put it back to its
Right,
condition.
or, and show the difference of why you thought it was better to do it this way. So I'm kind of paraphrasing the whole idea, but anyway, so that's why that was, the actual bill at the 89, on the backside, there was $11,000 in culverts that the town had already purchased for that project. And then there was some material, a small amount in that line there too, that was material that the town had that got used on that project.
Oh, it was the sand or something.
So that came off of the 89,000, so ultimately it was $77,000 that we the bill was like, I wanna say that number, $77,000 is what was actually written for a check to Burnham.
So I have the one that we're talking about with the credit memo.
Yep.
That has the
So
stand.
that amount got subtracted
off the
from the
$89,000.
$89,000.
Not from the
It
97.
says invoice number.
I know, it wasn't an invoice, I don't understand their billing, but we paid them the $89,000 minus that culvert and sand amount, which came to about, I wanna say 77. Does that look about right? Is how much the bill was, how much the check was made for. So $40,000 came from the $40,000 was voted on in the warrant article number 9, and then the balance was paid out of that bridge grant that we had from
So
2 years ago.
FEMA was in this in the beginning with the grant,
No, well, this was part of the,
and how did they, I understand, there's no FEMA money in this project, right?
Not yet, no, we haven't received any money for it yet, but Michael's working on getting a reimbursement for it.
Are we gonna get that additional FEMA money from the second storm?
I can't
No,
answer
I'm
for
just-
sure, because I know there was a bunch of storms, and I don't know, some of them were covered, and some of them
Some
weren't,
of
some of them weren't, and
But how's it look, Michael's,
So this MoDOC Hill grant, MoDOC Hill project, we talked about this at the last meeting with the selectmen. FEMA is trying to tell us now that that it may not be covered. We had 3 different FEMA representatives that we've worked with. There was one, guy 2 sat right here, and I sat right here, and he had this project to submit for it because it's something that we
something
could
they
be reimbursed
reimbursed
for.
for, yeah.
So Michael's gone forward and put all the paperwork in. Now our third FEMA guy is saying, yeah, I don't think that'll get covered. And it's suggested that we withdraw the application, and the selectmen at the last meeting not to withdraw the application. Move forward, let them deny us if they want to, and we have the opportunity to still
To
appeal
appeal.
You can
that.
appeal,
And we would
yes.
appeal, because there's extenuating circumstances. They were saying things like, well, you didn't fix it in a timely manner.
well, we had another storm.
Exactly, and it was the middle of winter time, and we didn't
the
have
other
the money. You know, there's so many
Yes.
factors in there when you look at it from the one
You could
way.
show them what we bought culvert.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah,
sand
we
in
had
the culvert,
We had some
yeah.
But see, that's the thing, we had intentions of
Yeah.
repairing
doing
it.
the work,
And we
yeah.
can show all that
Yeah.
to prove to them that this wasn't something that we just didn't do.
So I guess one of the big questions that I have though is that we went from $37,000 to $89,000, a little bit of credit to take it down to $77,000. That's twice as much. Where in that process were the selectmen notified that there was gonna be a significant, what,
Right, I don't know as though that was I don't know that was known until we got the bill.
And we had 100% cost overrun.
how could
Yeah.
we not know? Like Burnham never said a word to us about.
They should have
I
asked
don't know
approval,
the
I would
details.
think.
Yeah,
I wasn't
yeah,
privy or in on
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff.
No,
so
I know,
don't
but-
what-
I would think if they knew they were gonna run, they would have notified the town, saying,
Especially
hey, this
that
job's a
much.
lot
Just
more
we-
complex
right.
than we thought, right?
We bid
Yeah.
$39,000, this
Yeah.
is, 39 is not gonna cover this. Seems to
I
me they
don't-
had to have had a conversation about that.
I don't-
And that's why I thought there would be an explanation that came back when the selectmen said, because I was there the night they said, send it back, or send it, because there's no like, okay, pay on it from the DPW saying, you know, that they had reviewed it or anything, and so they sent it back, and I thought you were gonna get, the selectmen were gonna get an explanation as to what happened, how it happened, why it happened, that kind of thing.
Yeah, because there was no vote, there was no vote to pay it, there was no signature on it, there was just, can we get more information from someone in the DPW after reviewing it?
Yeah.
Because because that's like a huge amount of money,
Oh,
so
sure.
like, there was no vote from where to pay it though.
There was the discussion about where you could
I-
take it from, but I don't know.
I guess I interpreted it differently. I
So,
don't know.
so we're gonna wait until to see what FEMA does, because there's a possibility we're gonna get 0 from them.
There is a
Right.
possibility.
Or 75% would be the other option. But we might have to jump through some hoops to keep trying to get it.
It's definitely worth pursuing.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
Michael's
and
doing a good job
and
on it,
the-
you know,
the selectmen
shagging these
agreed.
guys down, oh, yeah.
We're not just gonna roll over and let them,
No.
let them just withdraw it. We're gonna fight for it.
No, because it's a legitimate claim.
And there's
Yeah,
been a lot of
yeah.
time and effort already put into the application for it.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. fingers crossed we don't have massive storms again. Right. But
Easy
we
work.
have the grader, right? And they're out grading roads, and it's
Yeah.
working?
And John was already upset about it because the,
John Aruda?
yeah, because North Division Road looks so great now, everybody drives real fast.
Oh, is that what it is? It's a highway now?
That's what he
No
said.
speed bumps?
He said, he goes, a couple of potholes will slow people
You
down.
know, I saw grader, I was there, Josh and Dave, you know, the guys, when they came. It's a very capable machine.
It's, I see
Beautiful.
it's
Yeah,
gorgeous.
and with the snow blades and everything, I think it's gonna be a big asset for the town.
I guess the question I have is, so, like, they anticipate getting all the roads graded before winter gets
Oh,
here?
I'm sure, that would be.
Oh, Dave,
I've
Justin's
just
been
been-
out, I think,
Yeah.
almost every
Well,
day
I've
with it.
just been patiently waiting
Did
to
did
see
you
when they're
hear
gonna
that
do
it doesn't
Bickford.
fit in any of the buildings?
No, well, they keep it outside, it's a big, have you seen
It
it?
won't go inside though.
That's my understanding, is
Too
there's not
tall,
enough room
too-
in the barn.
too
Do
big.
we have to build another building?
No, I think it's sitting outside.
We get an RV cover for it.
But,
Well, we plan to use it all year long, so.
True.
It plows, it does, so.
Yeah, it has that big wing thing.
Yeah, the
on it
wing
to-
plow.
to
on
push
Oh,
it.
yeah, no, it's a serious machine.
Well, fingers crossed that they get to Bickford Road before the winter, because there's serious,
Who's,
serious.
what road?
Mine, Bickford,
Oh, Pickford,
Does that-
serious washouts
Does
still
that
on
still qualifies as a
it. Oh, barely.
The winter, have they done Winter Road yet?
I don't know.
There were some postings on Facebook,
I
I
was
know,
gonna say that.
because people were saying like, you know, you're breaking the springs on your car. And I think Dave, they were trying to get a grader down there, I was just curious if they had.
Well, we have don't we have almost as many dirt roads as we do paved roads?
Oh, it's
in terms of
22
miles?
miles.
26
Pretty
of
close.
26 miles of dirt.
26 miles of
37.
dirt roads.
Dirt roads, yeah.
That's a lot of,
Yeah. I know the people on Winter Road were waiting for the grader to show up.
we still live on a dirt road, I know.
Any other questions on page 4?
Yes,
Okay,
okay. Just following up on the grant, the bridge grant that you mentioned?
Yep.
Like, where do we have like a list of grants like that is money that's available to the town? How do
So
we
it's
count
on
for that?
the list, it's in the in books.
in QuickBooks,
Yeah.
is there not a list of them in?
That's probably like the only really odd one that was hanging out there. It was COVID money that they were just they were throwing money at
Right.
us, and that was one of those ones that just got put aside and not rolled into the general fund because it had specific purposes to it.
So is there not then a list that goes into the town report that shows what grants and what the status of the grants? You know, like there was a grant that it was received in 2022,
Yeah,
and
do we have a
it was
list
for
of that?
50,000,
Yeah.
and there's 15,000 left.
I don't think so. Like I said, that one there, that's usually odd. 'Cause any of the grants we get, block grant, the highway block grant, they just
Usually that-
go
yeah.
right into the general fund. They don't.
It'd be nice to break out kind of just of the grants we get,
Grants.
because I
think
thought
that's pretty much.
we
We get the police grant.
get the
right?
police fire, right? Don't we get like a Homeland Security, like SAFE Act or something like that?
Yeah, they have the
Yeah.
police always list that.
Oh, they use that. They use that money.
Yeah, but
police
it'd be nice to
grant,
see a
SC.
breakout of
I
the
don't know what
grants
SC
we get
is.
from the state and federal government,
Well,
just to kind of see what we're getting a year, you know, for assistance from these different.
they do come up on our revenue.
Yeah.
The block
Are
grant
they
and the
broken
room and
out,
meals
though?
tax
Do
are
we-
all broken
Where
out.
we can see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the bridge grant in there? Like,
I don't.
was that money that we received in like,
2020?
but so it was like given to
22.
us, do we have to, follow up and do paperwork to?
Yeah, how do we account for that or something?
They don't make you. No, it's
You
just
don't
like the
have to do
highway
a
block
report
grant.
or anything? No?
Like, does it sit in the same bank account as the general fund?
Yeah. It's in the money in the general fund.
I'm very concrete.
Yeah. No, I understand. I get it.
It'd be nice to see what the grants actually. kind of-
Well, I mean,
What are we
under
getting
here,
every
state
year? Yeah.
revenue FEMA grant, and which is really a state
Yeah,
grant,
but-
it's a
Well,
federal,
yeah.
but, you
No,
know,
like the
but the
the
highway block grant is
yeah, the
there.
tax, yeah,
Right, but
okay, so.
maybe add that,
Well, it's not anything that we received this year. That's why
This
it
is
wouldn't be
true.
on there.
so it's not a revenue report, it's a balance.
If
I
there's,
guess.
yeah,
But not anymore
Available.
because it's wrong. I think
Well,
we
'cause
pretty
now
much
we
spent it.
use-
it's pretty much spent down
Uses
by
it
now.
on Modoc Road.
Yeah, well, at least the
Okay.
money was there to cover the expense.
So the basically 49,991-ish came out of the bridge grant, so how much is left in the bridge grant, is that it?
There might be a couple $100 left in it. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but.
I remember you said, I think, like 2 meetings ago, when we were talking about, I think you meant, yeah, that check the balance or something.
Yeah, it was a tiny, yeah.
But it was just gonna fit. Okay, in going back to the drawdown, any other questions on page 4?
What line did those come under?
What line did what come under?
Like, so the 40,000 come out of the warrant article.
Yep.
And so this doesn't hit like the budget drawdown at all? The
Nope.
stuff out of the bridge grant?
Correct.
Okay.
And the rest of it came out of what line?
It
Yeah.
came out of the bridge grant and article number 9.
The warrant article, yeah.
Right here,
So it didn't hit,
40,000.
Modoc Hill Road repair, $40,000.
And the balance came out of the bridge grant.
Okay.
And like I said, that wasn't that kind of money was an anomaly that they were throwing money at you for whatever they could for, COVID money to get.
I was gonna say, that wasn't the only, well, I guess maybe it was for Modoc Hill repair. That was the only thing in that warrant article.
and the police grants that we just signed last week.
Yeah.
Those, we apply for those and then we get reimbursed?
Yes,
So
I think you have to send them,
we do,
you send them
Jim
the
sends
numbers.
them like a monthly report, I think the officers spent, or what the officers did, he asked us, he manages that grant.
And then, so I think there's a,
But the money doesn't get put back into here, it's one of those gross appropriations where he says, okay, we got so much money that we think we're gonna get in the grant, so we work out of that, but it just goes in the general fund to offset that line.
Right. He budgets for it based on how much he's approved for.
Right, he does, right, it might look like it overspent in the drawdown, but ultimately the money came into the general fund.
it's actually not in here, he has,
Yeah, police grant,
it's
SC.
$1,000.
Right, well, he
In the
doesn't,
budget.
it's like one of those gross appropriation
Placeholder.
lines where you just put a number in there, he doesn't know how much it's gonna be annually, and he needs a line to be able
It's
to
like Safe
pay out
Cities
of it.
Yeah,
grant
and
or
I
something, yeah.
think based on our last discussion there, he got a grant for $1,600.
So
So
66,000.
6,600.
60.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought it was
6,600. Or
Well,
I thought you said
6,000.
6,600 was how
600.
much the paperwork that we did at the last
Yeah.
one
Okay.
was.
So he knows then he has 6,600 off of, which is gonna overrun this by 5,600.
If he spends it all, but he said he typically doesn't spend it all because he just doesn't have the manpower to spend it all.
Oh, it's for personnel,
Right,
it's very
it's just
specific. Yeah.
Correct, it's for over and above what the guy's regular hours, so they work their 40 hours, and then those would be, they have to work on Friday night, and they can find any DUIs or any of that kind of stuff, so
Okay,
it
so
all
it's like
depends on what the guy's.
Overtime, additional
Exactly.
duty, okay, all right.
And it depends on,
Which is nice, covered under the $6,600 grant
right, for that specific,
for that specific.
right, so I mean, if they get called out in the middle of the night and needed an overtime line for that, that's a different, that comes an
Mhm.
overtime line, not out of the grant line, they're out there specifically using money from that grant.
Using that grant
And-
to,
I mean, with just the 2 guys that we have on now, there's not too much time that they have to spend
right,
doing that.
yeah, otherwise we'd work them to death.
They'd be working 24/7.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
So are we done with page 4, move to page 5?
Yeah.
How come we didn't use the bridge grant money before this?
Because it was specific to bridge,
We've done other culvert work, haven't we?
but culvert versus bridge is
Bridge.
different. This,
Modoc Hill is considered a bridge?
well, it's as close
'Cause
as
it
we have
flows
to a
under the road.
bridge.
Yeah,
It could have been
that's,
replaced with a bridge.
Could we have used any of that money for the dam?
No,
Isn't there
I
a bridge
looked
over
into
there?
that, that's not the
Yeah,
same bridge,
there's-
that's a walkway, it's not a
We'd have to,
Bridge.
we'd have to,
bridge, not
we'd have
a.
to put a road over it so you
Right,
could drive
exactly.
over
It
it.
would have to be a
It's a
road.
walkway
Right.
bridge, okay.
The only other money that we ever spent out of that was for, some guardrails
Oh,
that
okay.
were on bridges.
Okay.
Like East Madison Road?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, that and, the, down by the, boat launch. those new ones there,
Yeah,
that was,
that was out of that.
out of that bridge grant.
Okay. In the Madison TV section on page 5, it was $2,700 last month, and now it's down to $1,600. Is that part of that, you reviewing expenses, or
Which line?
Madison, the PEG online services, under Madison PEG TV on page 5?
Was that the other ETF one that we signed last week?
The one that's 85.9 right now?
85, not, no, the one that it says, last month it said PEG online services $2,700 with a, maybe it was the equipment. Oh, my apologies, I crossed my lines. Yeah, it's now, it was 8,500, so it went from 2,700 to 8,500.
Yep, and that's the, they did a 5-year contract, and that money's coming from, or we received the check from the trustees of trust funds. It just hasn't been processed
Done
yet.
in here.
Correct.
Okay, so that will change.
That'll go back close to 3.
Is there a new contract with Comcast or?
It's Telview,
Telview?
and they did a 5-year contract that was coming out of their expendable trust fund, but we had to pay it somewhere, so we paid it here, and we'll reimburse that line when the check gets processed.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's already gone to the bank, it just hasn't got put into deposits yet.
And I'm presuming, down in Parks and Rec DPW, the fact that it went from 12,154 down to 2,200, the field maintenance line, is that based on reimbursable out of the,
That field maintenance line is gonna be 0. Once we get that money from the trustees of trust fund, that's gonna cover
Okay.
that too.
so we already got some money from the trustees of the trust fund for that.
We have the process requested, we've requested the money, but they haven't met to disperse the money.
And it was last month $12,000, and this month it's only 2,210.
On the field line.
Yeah,
Then
on
I
that field
probably moved
maintenance
it over
line.
to the project so that I'd have on one place. Projects line maybe? I don't remember. It will all wash.
Because I'm looking at the bottom of that line, that line,
The thing that's hard is when waiting for that money from the trust fund, you have to pay, the only place we can pay some things out of is a line on this,
right,
this drawdown. So until then, those things look way out of whack
right.
until we can reimburse it from.
Which is fine, because every time we ask, you have an explanation that tells us what's going on, and then, it's not just like, oh, well, I don't know, there's a bookkeeping error, it's 12,000, now it's 2,000,
Yeah.
No, that's not what's happening, it's
I'm pretty sure if by
reasonable
thinking
explanation.
of what I did is that I just moved it like over to the projects line so that we would, when we get that check, I can just pay one number in there and it would kind of suffice.
okay. Anything else on page 5?
Yeah,
Anybody?
I got a couple of line items
Okay.
of specific interest. We're underrunning on the medical HRA. Linda and I have talked about that. We're just, the employees are healthy and aren't using their benefits.
Right,
That's kind of right where we looked at for the estimate, about $3,300.
right,
So, we may only use about 60% of the budget, so we're good there. It looks like we may overrun a little bit on the medical insurance. We're at 90% spent already.
What is that?
Well,
Yeah,
I
looks like
was
we're
looking
gonna
at that
hit
the other
about
day.
307, which is about what we thought it would be.
well,
I mean,
when I looked back, I saw that same thing. Why is that 90%? And I
Yeah.
went back and I looked at my notes from last year when I put the number in onto the budget, and I believe I forgot a 2-person plan or a family plan when I added it in. So it is gonna be, it could be
Another 20,000, 25K, yeah.
that it's
That's what I'm
gonna-
saying, we're gonna overshoot a little
Overshoot.
bit, yeah.
And I know there was a reason why I took it off. I thought it had something to do with the police officers or something like that. I don't remember my theory, a year ago when I
Because
put the number in.
when Chief King put forth his budget for this fiscal year, he had said, okay, we're removing the fourth position and
Making
removing
it two
benefits
part-time.
and just cutting it into 2 part-time positions, so we're gonna save on benefits. So that's probably where that came from.
But I still only accounted for 10 policies, 10 people when
Well, we
we
have
would
11
strictly
though,
have,
I think.
we've had 11 all
We've
year.
had,
And I don't-
our estimation 11.
I'll
yeah.
admit that I believe was my addition, because when I look at my list, I can see where I didn't check something off, and I think
Oh.
that that's.
So where will will it also hit this line and cause it even more overspent when with Chief King's, with the selectmen voting to extend Chief King's medical benefits to the end of the calendar year?
It will, and at no fault of anybody's but mine because of that. But I have a really good feeling that it's not gonna be as bad as it looks, because if you notice, the retirement and everything isn't too bad off. I think that the bottom line on that will still be all right, because if you look, we're in line.
You were at 79%.
We're underrunning
So-
in line on the rest of the budget line items. No, that, because I think this year, when I did the cost estimates, I thought I had a 307 or 310 or something. Because we built in the 11 policies. Yeah, so it was a little bit higher than the
Yeah.
304, right, so. Okay, no, but it's good to see the HRA's just where we thought it would be. Actually, it's a little bit under.
Okay, anything else on that page?
No.
Anything on page 6? We already talked about the police grant, so
Yeah.
their office supplies are 10% overrun, but the cost of supplies have gone up, so.
No more paper clips for the PD,
Right?
cut off.
No more pens.
I like that. We only have one taser. So,
We only have one
do we
taser.
share or something? Yeah.
Yeah, it should be tasers, right?
Yeah, no, I assume we have multiple tasers.
Oh, we do, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, it just says taser.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. I assume each officer has a taser, yeah.
and that's like a contract price they maintain, and
Oh, do they?
for that.
So you pick, it's like a lead or whatever they maintain?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Okay,
You
no,
could
that's
call it
cool.
that.
I was gonna say,
So
another
how much-
sharing one,
Yeah,
so
they know.
everybody has one.
They know
Okay.
how much it's gonna be.
Uniforms,
All right.
vehicle maintenance.
Yeah.
Police detail is 50% over.
Again, and
That's
that's
a-
a gross appropriation line. We do get paid from
The
those people
reimbursement.
who.
From the people who need the detail.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly.
Right, okay, so that'll get,
Yeah.
that'll go back to 0.
I think the rest, like the rec department we discussed, the buses just overshot this year.
We are
Yeah.
still playing phone tag.
Yeah, you're still trying to catch up with Eldridge, is it Eldridge?
No, Eldridge
He
retired.
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 Eldridge retired, and he kind of sold or printed Butler Transportation. And it seems that Emo will call me and I'll be on the phone or something, and I'll completely forget for 3 days. And I'll email him and say, when can we talk? And I don't hear, like, he's a caller and I'm an emailer, so we will meet.
You're playing tag.
We are playing a big old game of slow-mo tag.
So under advertising, the cost went down. It went from 557 down to 509. Again, not a lot of money, but I'm just curious as to, is that a,
Oh, there was, yes, it was about $48, $2, I
Yeah.
think is the difference. That's because it was, it went over to the technology line because it was the
That's-
web hosting
Yep, the
That-
quarterly.
okay.
that Heather had asked to
Alpine.
come out of advertising, and it really should have come out of technology.
Okay. You spent 10% of the equipment line?
They bought some things out of their revolving trust fund.
Okay.
They did some field hockey equipment and things like that probably could come out of this line, but they did it out of the donation, out of the revolving fund, because I believe there were people who specifically said, here's some money, I'd like you to buy some,
I buy equipment,
buy equipment,
buy
field
stuff.
hockey equipment with it.
Which
Speaking
line?
of that, no,
Which line?
the equipment line. You're budgeted for $2,200, we've only spent 226, 10%.
That whole get up there was like,
$1,800, I noticed.
Well,
Was
for
it?
It was eight, and it was 800.
Oh, 800, okay.
but
For the
That
field
makes sense.
hockey stuff?
for the field hockey goalie gear.
Mm.
Wow.
We were beg, borrowing, and stealing, so. And I went to watch the game the other night. It worked.
Yeah, okay.
It was nearly a shutout, and they got kind of a goal that they weren't necessarily supposed to because they were too close. But it was 3-0. So our
Okay.
goalie got a shutout. So.
Oh, nice.
Equipment
Well, that new
works.
The equipment works.
So I have a question though, under the rec department, and maybe it's in some other line, but I don't see the rec director salary.
It's under
She's under.
Wages other?
Yeah, wages other.
Wages, yeah.
wages other, that bottom line.
Wages other?
Yeah, the last one there,
Yeah,
the 24K.
and we budgeted 28,000 for that? That seems low, is it supposed to be?
Yeah, the town voted for 30,000.
Okay, 30,000, but it's not that far off.
No, the previous select board voted to reduce it by $2,000, which I've taken issue with, and they know that, but
Okay.
that is a hill I will die on.
Okay, and then anything on the last page? No?
No, gotta give John credit, he does a good job running the transportation. Between the revenue he brings in and,
Probably over,
Yeah.
it's over
Hmm?
$60,000 when you.
oh
add
yeah,
this
that's what I'm saying,
stuff on it,
it's well run there, very clean, good crew up there.
The question I have overall for this though is the number at the bottom of the budget line is 3,406,341, and if I go back to the Warren article, it said it's $3,410,088. Do we know why there's a difference? 34100088. If you could just check, I'm not sure.
Where are you getting that number?
Who's in the Warren article?
Because this is all the Warren articles added together, this number. You know what I mean, that's.
Yeah, that's, I took the Warren articles that were in the, and added them all together.
Well, did you take into consideration that the PEG TV line, it wasn't 47.5?
Did I,
It got changed town meeting?
well, that would just make this more,
It went
right?
down, I believe. It was, I don't have my report,
Yeah.
my book.
What article was it?
Article 4,
Article 4.
if you go to page 150, at the
Yeah.
top there, Madison PEG TV, we budgeted 47.5, but we got the
Oh, the 22,785 minus 40. I wrote defeat passed, so there was.
we changed that number on the floor to match the amount that the franchise fee was. And I don't know, I know it was less than the 47.5.
Yeah. But it wouldn't be $40,000 or $10,000 less, would it?
Well, it wouldn't, even if you did, that's only 4,000, right? You're saying
Oh,
3,406 to 410.
$4,000.
I
It might be.
don't know. I'm feeling 100% sure that I have my budget numbers in there correctly.
I believe you.
I don't remember if there were any other changes in it, but like I said, I don't have my book with my notes.
That's good enough. Okay, well, that explains that to me. All right, any other questions on the drawdown before we move to the revenue review?
The charity ones, how did that work?
We put them in December.
Yeah, but it just like, again, it just kind of goes into the general fund and we
We write a check from, check from the
The
general
other
fund
warrant
and
articles,
use
yeah.
that warrant article money to pay them.
I'll catch on. Hopefully not by the end of my third year, for sure.
Right.
Hopefully I'll catch on
Hopefully
before
soon.
that.
Okay, so where's that? This is from September. Where's the one from October? October. It's here. Okay. There, under town clerk, there was last month a line called miscellaneous that had $586 in it, and now it's not there.
Right, because it was supposed to have been in the regular motor vehicle permits fees line. When I looked at it, I was wondering what could possibly be that miscellaneous, because they really don't have miscellaneous, and when I
So that
drilled down and
jumped
looked at it,
35K or something.
it should have been put into the motor vehicle and permits fees line.
Moved to motor
so.
vehicles. It's not a huge amount of money, but I was just curious as
Yeah,
to.
no, it's accounted
Why
for
did
up
it
in the
go?
motor vehicle. There's,
That was my payment to my one car. Yeah.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, I think our check's cleared.
in
Yeah.
QuickBooks, we've got, it has
Yeah.
motor vehicle, and then there's like 10 drop-down lines that you can pick from, and if you don't pick the correct one right off that, sometimes it slips into the wrong place.
Mhm.
And
So-
that's why I go back through every once in a while.
I'm looking at October's report versus September's report, and the only numbers that have changed are up in the town clerk numbers. Nothing else has changed in, I take that back, building permits have changed, but everything else from selectmen down hasn't changed, and yet, and it says we're still waiting detail on the summer camp. Do you know when we think we're gonna get that resolved and have numbers?
I don't know, that's up to Joy.
Joy was working on it. She was trying to, I remember she was trying to
But
resolve.
a lot of
things.
these, like, selectmen's revenues, I mean, we haven't seen any more boat launch,
Yeah, well, that-
I mean, and, replacement stickers, so those things they just haven't really changed. And, like I said, we only make deposits at the selectmen's office twice a month, we make them on the 15th and the 30th.
right,
So even if we get that deposit to the treasurer on the 30th, she deposits on the 2nd, we get the thing back, it still takes us some time to be able to put it all into QuickBooks. So if there were any changes, there's nothing major going on in the selectmen's revenues.
Yeah, the transfer station fee should have went up.
right,
Right, and that's same idea,
timing,
the deposit.
It's
Yeah, the
timing.
deposits, yeah.
Deposits, we
and
only,
we
'cause
think that's
that's,
about 60,000 now?
yes,
Wow, so John's doing probably what, 5-6K a month there? In fees, scrap metal, cans.
yeah, I bet, once you have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, he does.
Now that we know we
pretty
can
well.
put my vegetable cans in the
I'll put our steel and,
Yeah.
steel
That
cans
came up in
and-
another discussion recently with somebody, I said, that's where you put it, and I was.
Right. Okay, any other questions?
When, under other revenues, the pilot will double, because we bill them when we do tax bills, so we'll get
Mhm.
another 81,2750 out of them.
So this will double like by the end of the year?
Yes, yeah, when, they'll pay it usually,
And what was the answer with regard to the summer programs, sports programs, summer camp?
yeah, we still
Oh.
need some,
Well, you were gone.
We're gone. There, it says under rec department, summer camp, awaiting details still?
we need numbers for the difference between what for field trips and what was for, a breakdown of what was where in which line, to know where to post it.
I might be able to pull that right now.
I guess my basic question, is that number gonna go up?
It'll go from awaiting detail to a number.
Yeah, oh, there's significant,
She's working.
No, it'll
over
be
there.
more than a
yeah,
dollar.
there's significant
Believe
amount
me,
of that
all over
would
my
go
page.
in there, it's just not
So
Please don't
field
have it
broken
trips,
down.
yeah, field trips were 2,504. And then actually there were some that people put into donations, not realizing we had like a field trip line. Bless you.
Bless you, bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
So yeah, I have a breakdown here, summer camp all 8 weeks, the field trips, summer camp 1 week.
Okay, can you at least make sure that,
No,
please,
okay.
that goes to Linda so she
The
can
revenue
update
gets
this?
updated,
Yeah.
the total was collected, yeah.
Sports programs and summer camp, the difference, I don't know if you need another line for field trips or,
Well, next year, we talked about this, but next year, the field trips will be handled differently. This year, you're not really gonna see the field trips show up because they're going in and going out. Because we didn't prepare beforehand to do field trips, so I spoke with the auditor and they explained to me the best way to handle it was just to
Okay.
make it a wash, the best we'll be able to, because there are gonna be some fees that are gonna be out of it.
so will we handle that the same way we handle, say, like the police details and
Exactly.
stuff? You'll just put a
Yeah.
placeholder number in there and then it'll go in and out?
Correct. We'll pay the fees, but we'll take it in, just
Put it in the
deposit it
general.
into the general fund.
When tax bills go out.
You know, in the state room and meals tax, when did they usually make the payments to the towns?
It's towards the end of the year, we haven't,
Oh, okay, I was just curious.
yeah, no, we haven't.
And historically, that's like a couple hundred, 200-300?
Yeah. I don't think we've ever got 3, but I wanna say it's, it's always, generally been over 2.
It's a lot less than we contribute.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we're paying a lot more, yeah.
We're acting just for a second. The reimbursements we get from OSP Children's Fund, does that go under the summer camp revenue line?
Yes, that will.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the revenue report, and we have the ETFs, and we have the, well, we don't actually have the CRF, but there's only the conservation commission. And then we've talked about grants, but we know there's, like and I realized that I was looking at the book, and I realized at the very back, right before you get to the yellow pages, as I was looking at the yellow pages, is like this 911 for a $25 donation. Where did those go?
That goes to the fire rescue squad donations.
Is there like a bank account or something associated with
They
that?
talked about that at the selectmen's meeting, and that it would have to be something that you'd have to have about the board of directors who are running the 501c3.
There is no
Yeah,
501c3.
I'm not gonna
I
speak
know,
to it.
right? It went defunct. They never filed
Well,
the
there's-
paperwork, so they
well-
probably still have the account.
Well, hold on, though, there is some, they are working with their accountant, and I actually spoke to the accountant who happened by the other day, and he, 3 months ago, wrote a letter to the IRS and has not received a response from the Ogden, Utah office to explain why it is the way it is, because they filed the paperwork and it hasn't happened at the IRS, and there's an explanation that needs to come from the IRS, but that's what he explained to me.
Is it 501c3 or a nonprofit?
Like I said, I don't know the details. I just know that
Do
it's,
you know how much money it is?
I don't.
Who does? Who knows how much money it is? The board? of
Yeah, who's the
trustees?
keeper of the funds, yeah.
I want to say Mike Morrow is, I don't know if his title is treasurer. Is that what Michael had said, I thought? There's a board of directors and there's a,
Do they meet? No.
She's like, it's gonna
yeah.
I don't know, I know.
No,
Asked and answered, asked and answered.
No, not trying to put you on the spot, but
Right,
I'm like, do
no,
they have like minutes, like?
it has nothing to do with,
Okay. It's not town
it's
revenue?
nothing that, right, it's not, they.
Okay, that's not,
It comes
Better.
through.
No,
what I
but it's,
pay or
you know,
anything
there's
like
a
that, so.
sheet in our town report that says if you want a 911 number, you know, you have to donate $25. You know, that kind of stuff. When they sold the Christmas trees, I think from a transparency standpoint, people would want to know.
And it was talked about last Tuesday night, and I think Michael explained that it would just have to be questions that would have to go to he needs to step away in a sense because he's the fire chief. He can't have anything to do with
that's true.
that portion of it. And he stated that at the meeting, and he did recommend that the board of directors would be the ones to ask for detail and things like that.
Well, can we request a representative to come to this meeting? It would be nice to
From the
know.
board of directors?
I
How do I even get in touch with the
Some
board
of
of
them,
I don't know who they
yeah.
are.
Right.
yeah,
I'm
well, like I
looking
said,
at it
Mike
now
Morrow.
again.
Yeah, but it can't be just Mike Morrow.
I don't.
Yeah, I know.
No, I don't. That's
So
not
when the
just-
town has a question about that entity, who to go to get an answer?
I don't know. I mean, there's other the PTO has a 501c, the Historical Society
Yeah, but
has
that's
a
under the
501c3.
school. Right.
Historical Society,
No, oh, right, and so now I'm just learning that the
There's,
Historical
you know,
Society says.
but where's, yeah, I don't know. We don't know, we don't have anything to do with it,
That's a separate entity.
exactly, from
I'm-
the town. We don't, that's our building, but what comes in and out over there, we don't get any
Yeah,
revenue
but
from
they have
that.
their own board, they have
Well,
their
they
own
do,
people, yeah,
right.
yeah.
The
You're
town,
on that, right? Aren't you involved with the
Historical
Historical
Are
Society?
you on the
Society?
board?
I am. I'm I'm on the board of directors of the Madison Historical Society,
And there's a 501c3.
because I'm just collecting titles, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
And does the board of directors have visibility as to what's going on with that 501c3? Who owns the checkbook?
Treasurer.
Okay.
Who's the treasurer?
Penny?
And do you get does the board of directors get a regular report every time you
She
meet
gives us
as
a
to
monthly
what the?
report, yep.
Okay, so then,
But you guys don't have like public minutes and that kind of thing? Nothing that gets recorded here at the town, is what I'm saying.
well, they may have public minutes that you can ask for, but
But,
it's
but,
not
but
recorded.
not,
but no,
exactly,
right,
which is
right.
similar to what would be going on
Yeah.
for their.
With the fire
their- Right, it wouldn't have
there's-
anything to do with the town.
Should be, I mean, because the question I would have is, okay, this exists, how much money is there and what is it being used for? What's that money
Well,
used
yeah,
for?
because that same question could go to Historical Society.
Right.
Right.
But if
And
there's-
they report it, and you're using the town of Madison as
I-
leverage to raise the money.
Which is the same thing, right, that the Historical Society would be doing.
I understand,
Okay.
but they filed a report.
Yeah,
I'm not
no,
picking, I'm not picking on the Historical Society, I'm just saying that this isn't like an audit here.
No, well, it is in that, that I think there's not a whole lot of visibility as to who's even on the board of directors. And that
Well,
the whole
maybe
issue
there
that
is,
came
but we're
up with
just not asking the right person. It's just, we didn't know until we just asked.
Joy, no,
Joy.
Well, the Historical Society has a website, and I just want it now, you know, because I think they do publish an annual report. It says right here, hey, President Linda Smith, Vice
Yeah,
President Erin
just say
Eckert.
Linda Smith.
So, well, you know, I'm just saying, I don't know if we're looking
Yeah.
in the right place.
no,
I don't
but
know.
we're
I
not
shouldn't
asking
even
the
speak
right.
into it because I, like I say, I
It's
have
nothing to do with it,
and
right.
I have no knowledge of how it's, I just happened to, we talked about it Tuesday night at the selectmen's meeting, and the accountant just happened to come by, the poor guy, register his car, and I jumped on him.
That'll teach them. They'll use online
So,
services
yeah, so
now.
well, I don't even know what the official name of it is and how to even like send a letter to invite them to come to a meeting and explain it all.
It is Madison Fire and Rescue Ltd. Mailing address as of 2020 was P.O. Box 158, which was the old P.O. box for the firehouse, but now I think the
Yeah,
firehouse
we all
uses
have
the,
the same
town.
box, yeah.
the regular town
We used to
one.
have 3 PO boxes and we just blend them all into one.
And principal officer's name since 2014 is Mike Morrow.
But we're presuming that's all still valid, even though
That's 10 years ago.
paperwork,
It is Michael Morrow.
it is?
Yeah.
Through 2020. So there, it says,
So 4 years ago.
organization has terminated, yes. But that is in the eyes of the IRS taxes.
Which is being worked or something.
Does.
There's
So
some kind of
what
paperwork
happens when I
chase
get
there,
funds?
yeah.
There is an explanation, they just can't seem to get the IRS to.
To answer them.
That's what I
Imagine
found when
that.
I was.
And
Imagine that,
Oh, I
they'll take
know,
months,
believe
but
me,
yeah,
I know.
they'll take months.
So the funds don't go anywhere, they're still in the account, but the issue becomes for anybody, if the organization doesn't sort of technically exist, even by the IRS standards, if you make a donation to them, it's not tax deductible. Because they technically don't exist. So,
Well, more than that, it's donated funds,
mhm.
And there are rules with regard to how those are held and reported.
Mhm.
And if the 501c3 or nonprofit doesn't exist, then that money's floating out there in a checking account. How much is it? It's public money. Until such time as it can be secured, and if it has been unsecured for
4 years.
4 years, what's going on?
Right.
So
Well,
are the other 501c3s in town associated with the town gonna be brought in for questioning with the fire?
yeah, I'd
department?
like well, I think it's important to understand, and mostly because there may be things, I'm gonna make up numbers. Say the Historical Society has $50,000 in their bank account from donations and those kinds of things. There are things that they may be asking for within the budget that we wouldn't necessarily have to budget for because they could use the money that's in their 501c3, and then we could kind of look at the budget and say, how much it really costs to run the Historical Society. It costs $10,000 a year out of their 501c3 plus the $3,000 a year we put in their budget line. It's $13,000 to run the organization. I
So
think
having been on both organizations, both PTO and the Historical Society, there's a treasurer for each.
yes.
There's a secretary for each, there are minutes for each, and there's a treasurer's report, both happen every month. So
Yeah,
if you wanted to ask that, you would just ask for the
just ask for
reports.
those reports, copies of those reports.
Minutes and reports.
And now we can, I guess we asked Mike Morrow for minutes and reports from the fire one. She's like, I don't know.
Not ideal. I have all this to take care of. I
Yeah, I
don't
know.
know.
More than enough, more than enough. But I think to have a complete picture of, of things, I think it's important to kind of have visibility on it.
And there's, again, for the PTO there, and on the Historical Society as well, there's receipts for everything. So when there is a pole cart purchase so that the Historical Society can tow their wares to Burkefield during the craft fair,
Right,
there's receipts for
there's a
that.
receipt,
And there's a vote to spend that money.
either before or reimburse it after. There's a vote to either reimburse it if it was already spent, or a vote to spend the money to procure the thing beforehand, so,
Lots of receipts.
right.
So,
So, yes, that's, I'm not aware. Are there other 501c3s associated with the town besides the PTO, the Historical Society, now the fire department?
Sure.
um,
That
When
are-
this thing opened up in 2016,
This thing.
the discussions all started about trustees of the trust fund, and one of the places that was named in that discussion was the scholarship fund, because that was in a checkbook.
Friends of Madison Library.
And the lady who was in charge of that scholarship fund immediately, after she listened to the Attorney General's representative here, went out and formed a 501c3. It was very clear that that's what they had to do, and that's what they did. So that's out there, but you
So
know,
then the same thing,
they're doing their thing.
they're doing their thing.
They do. They make scholarship awards every year. They have a golf tournament. They do all kinds of things to raise money.
Yep, they're here on they're on the IRS list here. They have an active principal officer.
That's right.
They filed their 2022 tax return. It's all available on the IRS website. So that's the scholarship fund. Madison Preschool, obviously not affiliated with the town, it's
Yep.
the church. Scrub Oak Scramblers.
And they immediately did it. So
Yeah, every nonprofit that has ever been registered with the town of Madison and the IRS is here. So Friends of Madison Library, which again, a lot of the same folks on the Historical Society or Friends of Madison Library leave, or the trustees, I can't remember. But anyway, that's, a nonprofit that takes minutes and gives you a report. I think they might even include that in the town report. Does Friends of Madison Library? No.
They might be included in the library report.
Yeah, in the library report, yeah, I think so.
It's not like I think they're, yeah.
Yeah, just part of the library.
Okay, so if we can figure out if there are others that maybe we'd like to ask for. Greenwood Library Co-op, we collect food for the Madison Church. Friends of Madison Library, an amazing Friends of Madison Library organization.
if they're registered reporting to the government agencies that they're supposed to, that's the end of it. It has nothing to do with us.
No,
When they
It's
purchase equipment for the town and that then becomes town equipment, it's just good to know
Right.
where it came from and tracking it and stuff.
there's a
Correct.
requirement due
And that
every
should be
May
an
1st
approval
for,
process to do that. You don't just do it.
Well, I'm sure that the board of directors has an approval process to decide to do that. Like if during a meeting, the librarian says, yeah, our scanner or copier or whatever is down, and the Friends of Madison Library go, well, we can help you out with that, and we can purchase one for the library, because we have those funds in the thing.
That's legitimate.
Like I said, that's something then that the town doesn't have to budget for.
Correct.
But if it's donated to the library, it becomes town property,
Mm.
right? If it's donated to the library, it then becomes town property, and so making sure that it's, just that there's visibility, it's accounted for, that people are doing the stuff they're supposed to do.
It's called transparency.
Yeah, and there's transparency around it all, so.
One of the big things on the 501c3s is you gotta file it's called a Form 990 by May 1st every year. If you miss like 2 or 3 years, they
That's
take your status away.
Probably what
You
happened.
lose your registration.
Right,
Yeah.
so everybody that's listed is apparently following the process as they should. End of subject. In the event that they buy something for the library, that's their board with the library and making that agreement, and that's fine. It's when there's no, and they could show accountability in the report process.
Right,
We don't have that in this other case, and that's all I'm asking.
yes. Is having that,
Where is it?
and they may very well have the reports, they're just not available through there. Because according there, I'm pointing at the website,
According to that, they don't
according
exist.
to, they don't exist anymore. They were defunct, and so
Correct.
I'm sure we can get copies of the reports directly from Mike Morrow. I would presume that they have them. I would hope that they do. So, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them that we're aware of. We can check to see if there's more. But I think it's appropriate to ask all of them to either point us to the website where we could download a copy of the report or review the copy of the report, and or furnish it to us in paper. Okay. Any other questions, concerns on that? Let's move on. The equipment and vehicle inventory, I don't think we have any update to it, but.
Sorry,
and
Old Home
this-
Week,
Hold on, wait.
Old Home Week.
Old Home Week.
Old Home Week is in the auditor's report as a town, it's not nonprofit, but as a town fund.
What does that mean?
It's not in the annual report, it's in the auditor's report,
Well,
in auditor's report.
if it's a
As
town
special-
fund,
Special
Town
revenue fund.
function?
There's a special revenue, it's listed as a special revenue fund in the annual auditor's report, Old Home Week money.
Yeah, I don't know how we track it.
just the same way I think you do with a 501c3, you go to the organization. Who's the chairman of the Old Home Week committee? It's a committee, right? It's a town committee. Is it not?
Is it official, like
It's-
charted by the
it's-
town?
It's a
or-
committee appointed by the select board,
Okay,
but
yeah, I don't understand how it works.
they used to meet, and they used to.
Old Home
they
Week
used to have
committee
minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how it's organized.
So,
Now, if I read the,
It's not annual report, it's in the auditor's.
if the.
well, there's an Old Home Week annual report in here.
And if the auditor's information is, what, $27,000?
Yep.
We're talking about 27 grand.
There
There
should
used to be, when
again,
you go through old town reports, they had like a full
Correct.
financial.
yeah, why isn't there just a small, a chart even?
Are these questions for the committee itself?
I don't have the answers.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So this is respectfully submitted by Gary Bent and Michael Brooks.
And currently, I think,
Old Home Week is, I know Jake is on the committee, Jake Martin.
Adam,
Michael,
Adam Price is,
Danita, I think
Adam.
Gary was on, but then
yeah, he
got
started,
busy
he got it,
again.
yeah. Old Home Week Committee. This is the old one. It says Candy Sue Jones and Michael Brooks and Gary Bent.
that was, because that was reporting who was on 23.
Yeah, there were 2 positions vacant. So in 2024, do we know who it was?
Yeah, we just said it was Adam, Mike Brooks.
Who's the chair? Do we know? So it's Adam Price. I would presume he's the selectman's rep to it, or?
They're representing selectmen's rep.
Okay, Adam Price. Mike Brooks,
Jake,
Jake Martin, Danita Downs.
Yep. and
Dudley.
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 Usually Downs Dudley or something. No?
Oh, I don't know, I only know it's Dudley.
And then Gary may or may not still be on it.
Yeah, it says he's there until 2026. Okay, so do we know who's like the chairman of this? Oh, wasn't Mike Morrow on it too? No, that's the Conservation Commission. Anyway. Well, we can start with Mike Brooks and Adam Price and ask them, first of all, who's the chairman of it and who's the vice chair, if there is, if they have those distinguished. They may not, they may not to do that. And then B, that there used to be previously, probably years ago, a financial report in the town report under Old Home Week. Can they provide an updated one?
They used to take minutes. I can't remember if that stopped about the time the person came and said that they didn't need to be elected because they weren't,
Right, the
by statute.
Department of
That was in 2016.
Justice or something, it was Terry, can't remember her name. Yeah, it happened just before I got here, so I wanna say it
It was,
was 14 or 15.
Yeah, it was mid-16. Lady was an attorney from the trust division.
Right,
the
Terry
AG.
Knowles,
Hmm?
Terry Knowles.
Yeah. And her presentation to the select board, as I recall, was that all donated monies had to either be in the care and custody of the trustees of the trust fund or in a 501c3. And she didn't offer any other options. Sometime after that, a chunk of money was put under the trustees of Old Home Week, because they've seen they were putting like $3,000 or something. It was there, I don't know if it was there a year or two, and then it was all withdrawn and it's not there any longer.
As of the 2023 report, Old Home Week donations, EXP. that
What
had
page are you on?
131 of the 2023 annual report. But that's not even the same as the 28,000 that's in the auditor's report.
It's definitely a different account,
Yeah. Does this still exist?
it must.
Was that how was that, was that a warrant article? Way back when?
For me.
Before my time.
And so it says are currently held in TD Bank at the very bottom of that.
That's where all the trustee of trust funds
Banks
accounts
are.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's where all the trustees, trust funds are.
correct, with TD Bank.
But if it's like care and custody, it's just in the bank. Because there's no.
Well, there's only a certain
There's not
number
a
of
fund.
people who can write a check out of it then, right?
I have no idea.
I don't know the details.
Maybe we asked, this says Cheryl Littlefield chairman, Jane Hoffman secretary, Kathleen Moore bookkeeper.
Of they're the
Trustees.
trustees of
Trustees.
trust.
Trustees.
Correct.
So-
They're not in charge of they're only in charge of that.
They're not
Count
handling the
They're
501c3
not.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but
Those
Old
are
Home
separate
Week isn't
entities.
a 501c3. Old Home Week's not
I
a
don't
501c3.
know, I'm not sure
right?
how it's structured.
It looks like it's just part of the TD account.
I don't know,
Well, it's
I
not
don't know
listed
about the
in the
history of
trustee
that
trust
account
funds,
in particular.
so you're right,
Oh, so it's here, though.
not $27,000.
No, just 4,000.
$4,000 or something.
There's a special revenue fund in the auditor's report. That's $28,000 last time I looked. And then there's this Old Home Week donations EXP. I wonder if that means,
I wonder if that's just designed to
Expendable
handle the
trust fund.
cash so that they can have a place to put the cash and then write a check to the,
I would think that Old Home Week is almost all cash.
check, could be checks.
You pay for your chicken dinner with a check.
Is there,
I didn't go.
Everyone pays cash?
Yeah.
this may not be a fair question.
We'll just throw it over the other question.
More so like we're just
But
throwing them in the air.
You know, you throw, it's almost like the ambulance contract, they throw out all these terms that just don't fit. Special revenue fund, does that have any meaning to you in the budget process? No, okay, thank you.
What is that?
I don't,
Yeah, what is it?
What is this from the
where do you see in the
I think
special
it's an
revenue?
It's in the
In the
auditor's
auditor's
report.
Oh, the auditor's report, I see,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know the
It's an
definition of why
auditor's
it's
term.
put there, I don't.
Yeah, cause you and I went through one time and there was like rec stuff, but then there was like Parks and Rec stuff, and like you and I were like weeding it out, we eventually came to the number.
So,
Right, that was because the QuickBooks had that extra company for recreation things is how, and that's where the auditors pulled those numbers from, because we've got like four companies in QuickBooks.
Does that mean the
It's like a
Old Home Week
concept.
thing is in
No,
QuickBooks too?
nope, no,
Where did
it's
they
not.
get that from?
Where did they get what?
Where did they
The
get those numbers from?
28,000?
They audit their books.
Oh, the Old Home Week.
Auditors, the auditors bring their paperwork and everything to, when they're here, they bring all their stuff and they go through it. just
Old
like
Home Week
they
does?
bring- Old Home Week brings their stuff here when the auditors are here and they audit them.
so the auditors, in all fairness, are looking at money in, money out balances to make sure everything that they say happen. It doesn't,
Yes, so,
they don't have anything to do with the legal construction
no,
of the,
Nor the appropriateness.
right,
They're just looking at debits and credits and,
right.
Yeah.
they're looking from an auditor, generally accepted accounting
And
procedures.
now I understand why they call it a special revenue, they don't have any other title for
For
it.
it.
Special revenue account,
that-
which,
it- yeah, it's
that
an
up.
auditing term
And-
maybe, and I don't,
Yeah.
I'm not,
this money in, this money out, and this is what they have at the end.
I just give them
That's,
the
that's
information
what
they
their job
ask
is,
from me
and
and
they
I.
do that.
There's a Madison Library one, that might be the Friends of Madison Library. There's Old
Madison
Home Week,
Library won what? what are you looking at?
Special Revenue Fund,
And you're looking, what are you looking at?
the 2023 audit, not annual report, the
Okay.
audit report.
Now,
It's
is that
on
a
the
501,
website.
isn't that a 501c3? The Friends of Madison?
I don't know if this is the Friends of Madison Library, we'd have to compare.
It's
the-
just a special fund called Friends of Madison.
And there's
Library.
Madison Peg TV, there's a Forest Maintenance account, Conservation Commission account, police equipment, recreation, which is a blend of different rec and park and rec. And then the capital projects fund is at expendable trust is at the transfer station capital projects.
Oh, I wonder if that Old Home Week EXP is an expendable trust. Old Home Week,
No.
no,
Oh, no,
The one in the trustees report,
the one in the,
like the $3,000 of.
in the annual,
for them
yeah,
in
the
annual report.
trustees.
It's not an it's not an ETF.
Okay,
don't
so
believe.
EXP
And I wonder what
It would be
EXP,
listed under, it would be listed under the
over on the left.
other line, I think,
It's under
if it was,
miscellaneous.
like the, yeah, there's,
yeah, over here where it says conservation, heavy equipment, historical society bid improve,
Building improvement ETF,
oh, building.
the
I
roof,
need new,
repair the windows.
I need new glasses. All right, so I think we need to figure out, I just think from a transparency standpoint, it's important to understand all the ins and outs and comings and goings and where stuff is and when donations are made, where they go and who's responsible for those and are there annual reports that we can look at or quarterly reports or whatever they do that then can be,
it's not anything that,
yeah, it's not anything
I
that
have
the
my
town
fingers
hall
in, right.
handles, right, so.
That's town stuff.
But it affects the town, so.
It's funding town activities.
And I was gonna say, in the end, it probably and does affect what is budgeted by the town and therefore the tax rates and those kinds of things, so again, from just a visibility and transparency standpoint, it's important to know what those are, so.
Money management, it's town managing money and budgets.
All right, so we're gonna figure out who's the person in the know for each one of these and request, let's see, I can't get, I may have to ask you for emails, Linda, if you have emails for any, like,
I might have,
and some of them, like Mike Morrow and the scholarship people, I don't know who they are.
Carol Kramer was the last person listed on that, was the principal.
So, and figure out how to get from there. All right, CIP.
If Excel isn't frozen at the minute, I can show you kind of what I've been working on.
Okay.
So I was adding a bunch of, I'm sorry, I couldn't print it, but it was just
Let me
freezing
preface
like
that,
Oh, we don't
we,
look
the
at-
three of us, Joy, myself, and Joe, met in a working group last week?
Week before.
2 weeks
I know,
ago.
time flies.
It was 2 weeks ago.
It was 2 weeks.
Okay,
It was when the meeting here was
Time
canceled.
flies when you have it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
so,
was 2 weeks ago because we had a meeting scheduled.
Yeah.
doesn't matter when it was.
Wow, Linda
Let's
needs
go,
a
go,
date.
go.
Linda needs a date for the minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just wanna make sure we,
Maybe,
Well-
we just say we met.
no,
So
it was,
now we
2 weeks.
discussed what we didn't discuss really any meat of what's currently in it necessarily. What we wanted to make sure that we could get a really good handle on was what the organization is gonna look like of the chart or of the spreadsheet, what information needed to be in it. Make sure that, we tagged using, at least starting with the DPW, what the vehicles they say they have, making sure that the current CIP is updated to reflect all the vehicles that we have, ones we've gotten rid of, that kind of thing. And so now I will turn it over to Joy to explain what she's done.
All right, so we went through all the different documentation's been provided recently. I think there was an iWork report from Dave
Mhm.
Swift, there was the summary from Josh,
Right.
the summary, the stuff from the annual report,
Right.
and tried to compile it in here. And I think we have every piece of equipment. I think we were we didn't know what value of some of the things were, like sweeper and chipper and stuff, so we had them in there.
They're a line item, but they're kind of blank.
Yeah, we don't know, anyway, so, and then we know that they were talking about adding a dump truck this year, that the chipper needs to replace, the backhoe needs to be replaced. So we have, I think there were estimates given for those items, so I started to add them. I don't know if you have an older copy, but I started adding columns that I thought help us determine, help us prioritize things that are on here. For example, mileage, engine/pump hours, parts and repair, previous year parts and repair, current year. You know, they help us say, okay, we're repairing the bejesus out of this one, is it just cheaper to replace it? So I just added those 4 columns to help.
Mhm.
Or cheaper plan to replace it.
There you go. So I added those 4 columns in decision making and prioritizing. And then I added, I kind of broke out some that were in there. And I don't know how much of this we need to have in here and how much it's, I don't know. So I had purchase price before trade or financing, so basically retail cost.
Right.
Um,
Manufacturers suggested retail.
And then expected encumbrances and capital reserves, so
Oh.
offsets.
Also, those numbers are going to be somewhat guesstimates.
Yep.
Because somebody's looking out 15 years trying to tell you what that truck is gonna cost in 15 years.
Well, this is,
Correct.
yeah, so a lot of this though, we should have, I think, well, I'd like to have it for
Right.
the existing equipment, but yeah. So purchase price, well, if it's on the list to be placed, yeah, best guesstimate at what it costs now, plus a markup if we get it.
Plus, if you 3% inflation a year kind of thing,
Alright.
which, yeah, good luck with that.
As long as you don't
So I
have
have-
graders, that's great.
Purchase price before trade-in, financing anything, then expected encumbrances, basically offsets because it's capital reserves or whatever. And then interest rate if financed, the total cost with interest, because again, that number varies, purchase price and even,
Right, you buy something for $50,000, you're paying 5% interest, it's gonna cost you more than $50,000 in the end.
yeah, so I have a column for that. And then funding for it, whether it's a warrant article, a budget line, or a grant. And then the purchase start year. So, yeah, and then the priority. And then the usual, just year by year by year. So,
And this now goes out how many years?
we were going to show 10 at a time, but have it
But
go
have
out
it
to 20.
20?
Mhm.
Okay.
you go off of 20.
Yeah, and then we also, I wrote on a piece on the other one. I wrote on the small
And the
one.
real point of this in the end is if you've covered all bases, you have a bottom line that you have to get to every year in order to make this program work.
Oh, you have to.
And if you
Yeah.
monkey around with it, then that changes that bottom line.
Right, but and from a planning perspective, it gives you a number that you can look at and not necessarily have to, yeah,
Well-
there will always be exceptions because there will always be, you know, unforeseen circumstances that come up,
There's an expectation,
yeah.
and you understand going into this right out of the get-go, is you're never gonna have enough money to pay full price for the next vehicle that comes along, but you're gonna have a big chunk of it.
Yeah.
So I'll print out, or I'll send everybody the format, you can look at the columns and say, yeah, that's not necessary, or we should also have. And then, either work with the department heads or hand it over to the department heads and ask them to fill in what they can.
Yeah, they
and
should
then-
be able to take what they already have or what they previously did, so.
Well, we added a lot, we added equipment that wasn't previously in there.
Right.
I think it's important that they know their organizations, they know their equipment, and they know what the expectations are for replacement.
Yep.
So that's a good idea.
Yep. So,
But I think we should look at it first, and I don't think,
It isn't necessarily gonna fit the plan in the end, but you're gonna know that you had that input, and I think it's important.
I think it's very important. And I think it's also important for the taxpayers, because then they can see that we're actually planning obsolescence and planning for replacement. It's not just something that comes up this year, oh, by the way, we're gonna have to put in a $250,000 warrant to do this. That there's been a warrant article every year, or however, that says, we're gonna fund the CIP to this level. We're gonna add $50,000 a year. And it's as indicated in the, whatever version of the CIP that we're operating on at that particular moment. I think it'll save a little bit, I don't know if we can do it that way, but we can talk about it. It'll save you a little bit instead of having 33 warrant articles.
It was done that way in the past, and I think one of the biggest has been, at town meeting, it was awfully easy to take a $50,000 request and say, well, I move that we reduce that to 25, and everybody's tensed up and votes for it, so all of a sudden, your plan's shot, you don't have the money going in, and it changes the whole focus of the capital plan.
No, I
So,
agree.
having it tight and everybody understand that in the end, this is a good thing to do,
Right.
is important.
Well, that plus, I think it's important on whoever is at the town meeting, that if they say, no, cut that $50,000 in the warrant article to only $30,000, then be able to point to the CIP and say, okay, which one of these things are we not funding now? You tell me which one is not gonna get funded, because you, the town, are speaking that you wanna, I don't wanna say defund, you wanna underfund what we're suggesting from a reasonable approach to be able to, you know.
Well, once you get this thing laid out, you get it
Yeah.
on a landscape sheet, 10 years on it, hand it out, and everybody can see it.
Yep, that's
Absolutely.
Mhm.
They might
You know?
need a magnifying glass, but,
Well,
you know.
You know, you don't get fancy, just, you
No,
get,
right.
you know.
So we have, Linda had provided a list of proposed, town projects, so I was adding that to it. And then we know they want a police cruiser, so we're just,
Yeah.
again, kind of gathering bits from people, and we would obviously need the department heads to really,
That's
Yeah,
a,
review it and,
to fill in the content of it.
yes,
in
yes.
2025, we're looking at 3 potentially expensive purchases.
No, we're looking like,
Well, we need
5.
we need a new police cruiser,
yep,
we're looking at a backhoe,
yep,
and we're looking at a plow truck.
DPW truck, and a chipper, and a grader.
No, the grader is all set. No, well, we
Hasn't
still
been
have to go
funded.
for it.
It's not-
That's
Hasn't been
right.
funded,
It's not-
right,
That's my mistake, yep. We still haven't approved the funding for that.
right. So I think us continuing to do the work on this, maybe, you know, one last look at it, not necessarily in a meeting, but take a look at it, and then I'll ask Linda to send it out to the department heads, which does, if we have nothing else about the CIP, it does bring up a question regarding the budget. Do we have any progress, Linda, on the departments and putting together their budgets? Do we have an expectation for when we might see their first draft or age draft?
I wanna say I asked everybody for their drafts by the end of this week,
Okay,
so, and then it's.
So in November
putting it
sometime.
together, Yeah.
okay.
And then we talked about school CIP, but then also there's like the road CIP, I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah, there's a.
Their priority
plan.
of which roads are gonna
Yeah.
fix?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just a list of priorities, road priorities.
Pretty much, it
Yeah.
goes out, I wanna say like to 2030 maybe.
Yeah, so just all three in.
Kind of
Different
merge it.
tabs.
Yeah, different tabs, like in
different
this
tabs.
spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But not in this spreadsheet that keeps crashing.
No.
I'll
No.
fix that.
Right,
All right.
okay. So we're gonna add to that, what did you just say, we're gonna add the road priorities?
In school.
In the school CIP.
Yeah, I have to find out from them, I went to that meeting.
And I think it's important that the road priorities take into account what's underground.
Oh, the culverts and
If
stuff.
you're gonna be paving a road, if the culverts, you need to have that in that.
No, yeah, no sense paving it if you're not
Right, well, you have
fixing
to-
the road base, yeah.
Right, it should be part of that project.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be just like a road priority as opposed to just
Yeah.
paving.
You know, as we know, the cost, you know, we've been budgeting, what, 250K for roads each year?
The cost of asphalt.
Oh, it's going through the roof, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna have to put, 300K into that this year.
Well, you're finishing up the idea, the discussion of your CIP group, just keep in mind now that you're down to 5 people, you guys make a
Yeah.
quorum.
Yep, she did already catch
Yeah.
I sent a text earlier, I'm like, God,
Like, no, yeah.
gotta go find new members.
We need
Goes back
calling
up
all
to 7.
volunteers here.
Right.
We need a few more people.
Right, anybody out there in TV land who's watching us, if you wanna be on the budget committee, it's good hard work, but it's well worth it.
And it's so entertaining. I mean, it's song and dance, we got
So are we done with the CIP? Done with the current discussion?
Yes.
Is there anything else? Okay. We are then in Joe's bailiwick, the health insurance personnel and organization, but Linda, you have news from, you said that the selectmen voted to go with the
higher deductible.
The higher deductible plan?
Copay
The
plan.
which one?
Do you know which plan that?
Yeah,
I
it was
saw
that-
it,
It's
on the
on that
sheet, it's
fourth
on the-
sheet, it's that on the,
the one all the way to the right?
correct.
Okay, how the health trust, you mentioned you went down to the insurance
Yeah,
conference or
there's,
whatever.
yeah, well, the part that scared me when we went there, someone from the audience said, so do you have an estimate of what it's gonna go up this year? And they said, well, it's gonna go anywhere from 3 to 18%. But it ended up at 6.3.
About 6% increase this year?
So,
Yikes.
but yeah, I mean, it's a lot of like the actuaries and all that kind of stuff. They're still trying to, fund their, disaster fund. I don't know exactly remember the word that they called it, but they're supposed to have like $93 million like in their coffers to make sure that there's not gonna be another COVID disaster that just like
Oh, like
wipes
a
everything out.
catastrophic fund.
And some of the the trends and things like that were crazy because nothing was happening during COVID, and then all of a sudden, everything hit and people were borderline sicker when they started, because they didn't go to the doctors when all that was
They
happening.
didn't
and
get checkups done.
Right,
they
sure,
didn't-
so something that could have been stopped, then is a disaster for the person right now,
Right. Went undiagnosed for 3
yeah,
years.
exactly, or, so it was very similar to last year, not as, impactful, is that the right word? In terms of percentage went up this year.
Okay, so we have a 6% increase in the premiums.
Which is kind of what we were thinking
Yeah.
it'd be about 7%. So, yeah,
we're actually
we're right
better.
there. Yeah, we're
And
looking
they
good.
picked
yeah.
this AB,
ABSOS 25 53K deductible. So what it means is I'm not sure what the 8B means, but the SOS means site of service.
25 is the $25 copay,
Copay, 50 is the
is the
specialist,
specialty,
and then it's a $3,000
$3,000
deductible.
deductible.
Access Blue, that's your AB.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is, it's Blue Cross, Blue
Code.
Shield, Access,
Which
yeah,
one are we looking
yeah.
at?
This one,
That's the one that they're into.
that's the one that the selectmen voted on Tuesday, was it? Tuesday night?
That's, we've been discussing this one, this
And-
is the
and that
one
was- Right, and that
we've
was
been
talking
working on for the
about,
last 3 months.
I agree with
they
that.
took a lot of your input
Yes.
into that whole thing. So anyways, the site of service thing is, down the bottom there, if you notice, if you go to a site of service place, like, so go to Quest to have your blood test versus having them done at your doctor's office, it doesn't go against your deductible. So there's mechanisms in all of this for the employees to take some accountability and try and go to the best option. They offer all kinds of programs. I mean, it's great. They have this thing called Smart Shopper. So if I was going to have my hip replaced, and I could go on to go on the website, right, I'm having my hip replaced, and they'll send me a thing, and they'll say, okay, if you have it done at Memorial, Huggins, or Frisbee,
Middleton.
Maine Manor.
wherever it is, if you have it done at, they will pay me $250 because there's such a savings for me to go to that hospital versus another hospital. They ask you to shop around, start shop,
Yeah,
see
yeah.
where the best is to go, and I get a benefit from it, and everybody else does too because they didn't pay as much
And
for
they
it.
do it for you, actually.
They tell you the prices and do, it's,
Yeah, they have the website that you
Yeah,
can go to.
so, and it really is, there's lots of ways in there to be able to help everybody else.
And this plan actually has better, like, the emergency room
Yeah, I
copay
noticed that.
is
It's
lower
less.
than the premium plan.
I thought that was odd.
Yeah, and it has a solid prescription benefit plan as well, it's included in that price.
I don't know if you had a chance to play with any of the numbers,
No,
but
not yet.
I had a little bit of a chance, and so the big number that I wanted to find out was, if we had gone with the yellow to orange plan
Yeah.
this year, by not going with the orangey plan, the orangey plan would have cost $88,000 more than the plan we're going with this year, with the same amount of the 11 employees that we would be funding.
Yep.
So.
Thank you for doing this, by the way.
Oh,
Thank you for doing that shopping around.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, we figured it would probably be about $100K
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it
cost
ended up-
savings, so.
And thank you, of course, for your,
Yeah,
Detailed analysis.
$88,789, so 88.8. Granted, next year we might have a couple more employees that will be having insurance. So, I mean, and you're not gonna see that number because you're just not gonna see the increase is what you're not gonna see. It's still gonna be in the $300 range to have, 13 people with insurance. But it's not gonna be in the $400,000.
Well, we were looking at like 425, 420.
420.
We'll still be, yeah, three something,
And I-
350 or
I wanna
360.
say
Yeah.
it was like 320 is what it looks like. What I-
Which is about what we're paying this year.
With, right.
It's a little
For-
less.
Yeah, so,
You
yeah.
paid
Well, actually, yeah, I
$335
did my numbers
or
right in the first place.
$353.
Yeah. I'll
So-
upload
so
the
it's-
sheets with the
so
latest
there's-
numbers.
So there's not a remarkable increase. There's
So
not
the
gonna be-
selectmen, like a plan,
Right,
did they also draw a line on the copay?
no.
the contribution, the employee contribution.
Right, well, I explained to them, and then I told them that I explained the same thing to you guys about changing the copay this year, leave it like it is. This is a big enough change. In 2026, plan to make that change, that the employees will be paying, during 2025, make the change so that the employees will be paying more of their portion in 2026, and that seemed to be agreeable.
I think we need to look at it and say, I think we
What
need
I'll
to-
do, I'm
we
gonna
need-
take,
we need data and analysis to look at it and say, is that feasible, is that
Just,
what
yeah,
we
just see
wanna
how much of it-
recommend?
How much of a savings would it?
well, we have the
Right.
real numbers now,
Yep.
so
Yeah,
I
we
can
plug
just
them in.
update
That's
the
why I was wondering
spreadsheets.
if you had a
Yeah,
chance to play
yeah.
with it.
yeah. No, not yet,
Yeah, to see how much of
No,
a
I know,
savings.
I just knew you're good at it.
So until we do that, I don't wanna completely take that off the board and say.
Well,
that
let's see
we're
what the
not-
numbers play out to, and,
Right.
no, but I think it's a win-win, you know, for employees, the taxpayer, the town. It's a
Oh,
great
yeah.
plan, this Anthem Blue
Yeah.
Cross Blue Shield tax plan. And then we always have the HSA to fall back
Right,
on,
yeah.
you know, in case of a
That's
catastrophic, you know, claim or
Right,
something,
yep.
you know. Which is, I think it's still a great health plan, but again, we're gonna save close to $100,000 this year. So,
Okay,
And personally coming from, I mean, I've got like 4 views on this, you know, I'm an employee, I'm the benefits administrator,
yeah.
you know,
You're a taxpayer.
I'm a taxpayer, you know,
Yeah.
so there's,
and you're the town administrator.
you know, so, yeah, and I represent my fellow employees, you know, so,
Right.
so coming from those 4 different titles, I feel like this is great.
what I think the advantage too is that, the employees need to know, nobody is changing the health insurance company. You keep your doctor, you're
Right.
seeing a
Right.
specialist now,
That's
Right,
important.
right, you don't have to be swapping doctors every year.
Yep, and Linda
You know.
made sure that that
Yeah.
was the case.
And
Right,
that's the
yeah.
case, so, yeah. So I think it's win-win for everybody by going down this path.
So anything else on that? So then for the next meeting, you'll have those numbers updated?
No, it'll be, because we get the real
Because you have the
2025
real,
numbers now.
right.
So you get those, when you get them done, get them out to us so we can see them.
Well, I sent them to Linda to distribute out, so, Linda reviews them, then, I guess Linda will distribute them out to the committee. I try to keep an official channels.
Is that,
No, because Linda double checks my numbers too, you know.
I was gonna say, is
Yeah.
it easier, like, for, like, a communication like that, Linda, does it have to go through you? Like, could you just blast it on BCC so we don't?
BCC it.
Yeah,
BCC,
yeah, so
okay,
just-
just, I've
Yeah.
always gone through Linda, just,
Yeah.
I know, just
To
trying to
keep
save
it
her
official,
inbox
you
if
know,
it's something
yeah.
that could be done.
I know, just what Linda needs, more emails too. I
Yeah,
like
you,
to send.
I mean, the whole idea is you don't want communication back and forth, so
Right.
you just
Well,
send
that's what I
some-
mean,
you
yeah,
just send something out,
yeah,
that's not.
okay, I just wanna make sure I'm
Yeah,
compliant.
and I'm usually CC'd on anyway, so I know that there's cause it is an official, at that point, when it
It's
went
an
out to the
official
board, it's an
thing.
official
Yeah, that's
public
what my
document, so
concern.
there should be
Right.
one available
Yeah.
there for someone who
Yeah,
wants to see.
so I just wanna make sure that, you know, we stay in compliance.
Okay,
Okay.
anything else on health insurance?
No, I think this it went well.
Any other business?
Yes, I think that there's an old episode of Cheers where Cliffy was trying not to be annoying and they like put a little zapper on him, like a dog collar. And his psychiatrist or therapist sat in the background and anytime he started to go, oh, it's a little known factor into a Cliffy story that drove people bonkers. I think that we should give to Mad TV, like collars on all of us. And if we start to ramble or if we start to go off topic,
Okay.
Mad TV can just zap us. and
Zap
just back on
collar.
track.
The audience can zap us?
Oh, the
Linda.
audience, and
Or-
that,
or-
Lid.
We'll give it to Linda? All right.
No, the only thing I do have is, again,
What is
I
that?
have no idea, I don't even wanna know. Making sure that, so Elwin King has officially resigned. He did not state a reason, it was an email to Linda that she forwarded to me, he sent it today, just said, effective immediately, I resign from the advisory budget committee. If there is anyone who knows anyone who think they would like to be part of the budget committee, then please let me know, so that we can take a look at them, make sure they're gonna be available. What I don't wanna do is, you know, I mean, things come up, I get that, and life happens,
I
but,
have a question.
yes, sir.
Thank you first off for sending out the information on the reports from the ambulance service. On the first page of that document,
That would be under other business then.
they indicated that January through June, the end of June, they had 204 medical calls in Madison. Of those, 9 were basic life support and 195 were advanced life support.
Mm.
No. What I would like to get as soon as possible is of the 195 advanced life support calls, how many of those actually involved a paramedic who use their advanced skills.
Yeah, that's,
That should be as easy as calling them and getting them to punch out a number. But I'd like to get that number as soon as I can.
Is that something you wanted to call?
What's that?
Is that something that you wanted to call John Hatch about? Did you wanna call John Hatch? I can get you his contact information.
No, I'm not gonna do it. And you'll say, who are you? The town has a contract, so they should provide it to you.
Would it be easier for you to send Linda an email with what you're looking for so that she is stating the correct thing?
It's simple, 195 ALS calls in that 6 months document that you gave us. And I wanna know how many involved a parent that use advanced skills.
no, so we're averaging just a little bit over one a day, ALS calls. You know, if it's 6
Well,
months.
if you consider,
6 months.
if you consider them ALS.
Yeah, I don't know
Rick,
what
why don't
that-
you, I have an idea, why don't you just take that up, send it to Linda, Linda can forward it like with an introduction, and then you and,
I just wanna get it, I don't wanna wait 3 months to get it.
if they would be able to then like discuss directly with that person. Just to kind of make an introduction, just to, I don't know, just thought.
Okay, anything else? Yes, no, maybe? All right, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next meeting is Monday, November 4th,
Alrighty.
the day before Election Day.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.